Welcome everyone to day number 2 of playoffs here at Riyadh Masters. We had upper bracket yesterday where teams were fighting for their chance to get ever so close to this thing right here, the trophy of Riyadh Masters 2023.
أعزائي المشاهدين، اليوم الثاني من البلاي أوفس راح يبدأ الآن وراح نعرف وش اللي ممكن يصير في البطولة، بأنه ما بقى إلا أيام قليلة ونعرف مين اللي بيقدر ياخذ التروفي هذا معاه ومين اللي بيقدر بيكون أبطال رياض ماسترز في 2023.
But that was upper bracket, Fancy. Now we got to get to eliminations. We got to get to lower bracket. A lot of teams looking good in the group stage started faltering, and now they're here fighting for their tournament lives.
الآن ما بقى إلا 6 فرق معنا في اللور براكت، راح نشوف 3 منهم الآن يودعون البطولة. بالأمس أهلنا 3 فرق أو 4 فرق، لكن اليوم راح نودع الفرق اللي بيخسرون مبارياتهم، ما عاد صار في فرص ثانية. اللور براكت معناته التوتر راح يوصل إلى حده.
Yesterday, Quest Esports, a game and Gladiators and Team Aster were sitting cozy in upper bracket. They got knocked down. Meanwhile, these lower bracket teams, they had a day off. They got some opportunities to collect their thoughts, think about drafts, think about their tournament lives.
كل الفرق اللي راح يلعبون اليوم 3 منهم بالأمس ما شاهدناهم على المسرح، معناته كان عنده يوم كامل يقدر إنه يجهز لمباريات اليوم. زيادة على كذا اللي شاهدناهم بالأمس لعبوا مبارياتهم خسروها واليوم متواجدين معنا، سواء كان جيم جلاديترز أو حتى كويست اي سبورتس، كلهم متواجدين معنا في اللور براكت. لكن أيضا تيم أستر خسارتهم كانت مفجعة، والآن نبي نشوف وش ممكن يسوون في مبارياتهم على المسرح. لأن مرة ثانية خسارتك معناته مع السلامة.
Let's get elimination started right now. Quest Esports! You saw them in the morning yesterday when they were facing off against Talon, 3-game series. And it was tough to come up with a favorite even after the series came out. Quest unfortunately fell, Talon progressed, and now they're here fighting for their lives.
أبطال الشرق الأوسط مرة ثانية نرحب فيهم في المسرح. عمر ونوب، لاعبين اللبنانيين اللي حرفياً غيروا نظرة العالم كله للشرق الأوسط، متواجدين اليوم في المسرح. حتى مع التغييرات اللي صارت فيهم عند الروستر، الأداء حقهم إلى الآن في القمة، هم من أكثر المرشحين للفوز في البطولة. لكن خسارتهم الآن معناته هذه فرصتهم الأخيرة، ومعناته راح نودعهم البطولة. بس عندهم فرصة ونشوف مين بيكون الفرصة ضد مين. خلينا نشوف مين خصمهم. حاملي اللقب لرياض ماسترز PSG.LGD. السنة الماضية تواجدوا معنا في الرياض، السنة الماضية عرفنا وش كانت نهاية قصة رياض ماسترز، كله بسبب هذا الفريق. استطاعوا انهم يحصلوا على اللقب واستطاعوا انهم يثبتوا انفسهم مرة ثانية. متواجدوا معنا في هذه السنة، ايضا وصلوا الى البلاي اوفس. فريق اللي الكل جاي يهزمه وياخذ اللقب منه، حتى مع تغييرات الروستر حقتهم الى الان يعتبرون من افضل الفرق في العالم.
PSG.LGD are the current reigning champions of the Riyadh Masters as they won last year. The thing is, right now they're going up against Quest, which remind me what happened when these two teams faced off at the Bali Major, Fancy?
Last time they faced off, Quest wasn't able to do like what they wanted to do, but at the end they were able to knock them out. So now we're gonna see how it's gonna go, especially that PSG.LGD with the roster changes, they're still looking really strong.
The equations have changed somewhat, but Quest seems to have the upper hand as they did eliminate them out of Bali. But this is a different day, a different tournament. Gentlemen, Let's get this thing started. Let's get this Dota underway for day number 2 of playoffs.
زي ما احنا عارفين آخر مرة تواجهوا فيها قبل أسابيع قليلة جدا في البالي ميجر انتهى فيهم المطاف كويست انهم ياخذون الفوز، لكن الآن PSG.LGD بيكون عندهم فرصة. خلينا نشوف ايش ممكن يسوون على طول على الاستديو.
Thank you very much, Fancy. Thank you very much, Tsunami. We have got Quest and PSG.LGD on the stage, ready for an elimination best of 3. And I didn't mean for that to rhyme, but what I did mean to say is that this is actually the second time that these two teams meet here on this very stage. There's not a lot of teams that got the honor of playing on stage during the group stages, but both these teams faced head-to-head right there in Riyadh Masters, and they tied their series. It was a 1-1, and as we heard from Fancy and Tsunami, when it really counted, in the lower bracket of the Bali Major, that is when Quest eliminated PSG.LGD. So when it really counts this time around, let's see if PSG has learned from their mistakes and can return the favor here to Quest Esports. Going into this series, I remember our panel that we had when we were watching these two teams go head-to-head, Purge, and we talked at that panel a lot about the potential of Phoenix coming out with these teams.
Yeah, Phoenix was a really good hero in the previous series that Quest played before their upper bracket match. Kaori played amazing on the hero. It normally looks like a kind of weak laner, but he just played it so confidently. He was always ready to go. He didn't hesitate at all. He used his ultimates at the perfect time, the Sunrays. And I wouldn't be surprised to see PSG.LGD pick it either. So it's not necessarily their most desired hero, but if they get past the first or second preference, you'll definitely see it.
There are also IOs that you have to watch out for, because the last time Quest and LGD played, they played 2 IOs on the side of Quest, and that enabled their Storm Spirit pick in both games also. So I feel like LGD should have a very specific preparation for this IO and maybe respect it even more than the Phoenix.
Yeah, speaking of specific preparations, we have no supports banned, unless you count Enigma as support, but no support banned in the opening. It's fairly unusual. This does mean with Timber, Enigma, and Naga Siren and Darkseer banned, that means we got Snapfire, Undying, Rubik, Io, still in the pool as well. Quest Esports, no stranger to first pick in Rubik, as they will do right here. They're on the Radiant side with first pick, PSG.LGD on the Dire side with second pick, Faith Beyond. The opening and the ban so far, what do you think of it?
They must have some prepare for Rubik, but I can't know what is it. Let's see.
I mean, the last time that these same bans came out, LGD went for the Coddle plus Pango opener, which I feel like Quest definitely had to have learned from, because if they followed up with their Primal Beast that Quest always desire in that first phase, I would be surprised if they don't take it here. Another option is LGD just taking this Primal Beast for themselves and have something different prepared.
Yeah, I remember the new Pango. They actually ran Pango on the offlane. They're one of the few teams that does that. And I remember Purge actually did a whole bit on it because you were so impressed with how he was doing.
Yeah, it worked really well. Normally Pango offlane doesn't go well. It's just kind of like mediocre. You tend to get zoned, your HP's low, you have to buy a Vanguard just to lane sustain. But with the lower cooldown and the fact that it was an IO pairing, he's able to get a lot of shield crash damage reduction and lower cooldowns to just get way more last hits. So he was abundantly farmed from the offlane. He actually had 6 before the carry did that game. So it could be an option, but without the Coddle, I'd be surprised.
And to be fair, he was playing against Muerta too, who isn't the strongest laner, so it felt like one of the better situations for the Pango offlane to come out.
Well,
Okay,
Mars?
they picked this combo before against EG. I think it's a pretty safe opening because you can secure your safe lane, and also you have team fight on Mars.
I think it could also make them potentially pick their carry here on the first round if they don't go for the Primal Beast, which is a way to deal with it.
I feel a little bit strange that PSG.LGD has wasted so much time on this opening. Like, they should know, like, if you give Rubik, and they will pick Rubik, right?
Yeah,
So
I don't think they should be surprised about it.
They go for the Primal Beast anyway, and I think LGD may have waited some time because they expected Undying to be banned out. So they didn't realize that their Undying was still in the pool, so they had to discuss a slightly different opener than the one they had prepared, because I believe that Quest did ban Undying out last time they played.
Makes sense.
But going for the Primal Beast anyway is no surprise. It's a very strong flex between Noob and Malik, and it's been very easy for them to build their draft around this hero. But I feel like LGD know this Primal Beast is coming, so I wonder if their choice to carry it will be through something like a Monkey King on the safe lane that we saw from Liquid yesterday, or maybe just some like Shadow Demon. We'll have to wait and see.
Is it surprising that in the opening picks we see no Snapfire ban, no Snapfire picked? I can only imagine that someone will ban it out in this phase.
It does look like a tempting hero for Quest, especially because the Undying comes out. And when you have this Mars open for LGD, you can also pair with it a Phoenix, which is a hero that Purge was talking about earlier. And LGD ban out the Phoenix for themselves, so never mind on that point.
Would have been pretty effective in that game, in this match for sure. Even though they don't have the Mars pairing with it, like even with Primal Beast follow-up, it would have been excellent. He charges in, they Sunray both heroes. A lot of attack speed reduction won't hurt either. So,
I wonder if LGD are going to counterpick this Primal Beast with a Clockwork, because traditionally that is the support hero that you choose versus Primal Beast. But if they do end up picking this Clockwork, then they have a dual melee support combination in Clock plus Undying, which doesn't feel very good in this patch.
Yeah, it's not a good choice. I think Shadow Demon is a great idea.
Last time we saw Quest with the Primal Beast against PSG.LGD, they ran it on the off lane on Malik, but with the bans coming out on Storm and Ember, could we assume that it will be Noob playing the Primal Beast, or are we learning a different lesson from these Spirit bans?
I think it's partially, I don't necessarily think Noob has to play it, but those are just really good heroes. I think laning against Primal, they're probably pretty decent there, in both stopping him from being able to charge in successfully, but also to easily escape, at least once you hit 6. So it kind of limits his kill potential there.
And also these two spirits is nothing to say is best hero. So anyway, I think ban them out is a good choice.
Maybe we can see Wind Ranger come out for Nothing to Say this game too, because I feel like Nothing to Say as a player has the most impact for his team when he has a good lane. When we saw him play Recovery, when he was playing Primal Beast in their first game versus Quest a couple of days ago, he lost the lane because he was against the Storm Spirit, and it looked entirely different. But when he was laning a Wind Ranger, he was able to gank lanes, he was able to play tempo and just set the pace for his team.
Yeah, but anyway, they will pick a post 4 right here and wait to see what Quest pick.
I know you guys were talking about Shadow Demon before, but isn't it just like I guess if it's offlane Primal Beast, it doesn't feel as good, but isn't it just like the best counter against Primal mid in some ways with the slow?
Yeah, it's fine. It's Shadow Demon or Clock that counter Primal, like we mentioned.
Well, there it is.
But my point is, I'm just surprised they didn't ban it, because it just seems obvious to me. Was Morphling really that much more relevant?
I would say so, yeah, because they wanted to protect their mid Primal Beast and two heroes and their... What did you say?
That's the reason why they didn't ban out Shadow Demon, because they want to pick Silencer to counter it.
Why does Silencer counter Shadow Demon?
Global Silence.
Cannot save anybody when you're not able to cast spells. That does mean that they're just completely ignoring Snapfire this time around, which I think is still pretty surprising. Although PSG.LGD, if they really wanted to, they can pick it themselves, because combination with the Arena from Mars, they have Nothing to Say wants to play Snapfire. It sounds like a nice solution as well. They're taking their time here, and they'll actually go for Leshrac, which means Leshrac without IO. Is that good? We've seen it a couple times. It was played yesterday as well, I believe.
It's less good for sure, but it's still a hero. It's okay. I just don't think it's as good. I mean, he's going to be able to damage Juggernaut generally, like even through spin. It's half damage, but you know, it's still okay. It's decent against Primal, I guess, because you are basically always doing damage to him, even if he's damaging you. You'll usually go Yule's build when you don't have an IO, so you can kind of protect yourself from Juggernaut and against the Primal in some ways. So there's like some upsides of it with the Yule's build.
I mean, it's a good hero because it beats up Primal Beast on lane. Like, if this is a mid Primal Beast, should be solid for Leshrac. Like,
Gotcha.
I think in the past, Primal Beast used to actually win this matchup when his Uproar was a lot stronger than it is now, but that's not how this hero is played. So this could potentially force a shift to the offlane Primal. Not necessarily so, but also it sets up for a Shadow Demon carry combination. Like, now that they can pick this Terrorblade for the Mars as a synergetic thing, they also have the tempo of Leshrac to play with Terrorblade. So all of a sudden, they have this mid-game timing to play around, this Roche timing to play around that they didn't have before. I guess another mid-hero that could have fit the same role as this Leshrac in terms of tower threat early on could have been the DK. But they probably prioritized Lush on lane versus Primal more so than the DK.
And also, I think they can make stack with a Shadow Demon. So Leshrac is a hero like clean stacks very fast, and also you can join fight at early mid game with Tomb, also very strong and also very good at skirmish. So it's a reasonable pick, I think.
Question is, are they going to prepare on Quest for this Terrorblade that will most likely come out for LGD? What can they pick here to potentially discourage the pick?
I mean, I feel like they have some covers. Primal's okay against it, and Global Silence can be a solution too. I feel like it's not the worst, and maybe like Healing Ward kind of offsets Thunder Power a little, and they still pick it in the end. Okay.
Okay.
So there's the flex. They get to keep the flex to the end if they really want to. Probably more likely.
It's a mid snap.
Think so?
Yeah.
For sure?
Because you're playing against Leshrac now, right? So
Oh, that's true, yeah, because they're trying to dodge that match.
she has a strong lane versus Leshrac.
How would Primal Beast do against the Terrorblade if that is the one that comes out, though?
And he does fine because he can get on top of Terrorblade.
Wow.
And now that they have the magic down, this is new.
Yeah, this is a hero very rare to see.
Really?
It's not the first Spectre of the tournament, but yeah, very
Look, it is true LGD style to be confident with these like rare hero picks where they're like, all right, we got the perfect hero for the game. So I love to see it. I don't know if it's going to work super well. It's kind of cool though. Like if you haunt Solutions everywhere, Omni Slash is going to suck, for example. He's going to be able to like globally gank around the map, back up his teammates. He's very individually tanky, and it's going to be hard for him to die. And they don't have the most single target damage on the quest side. So there's some good stuff about it.
I think it's a good pick. I actually like it a lot. I think that it gave them team fight, which they can now like look for plays with the arena. Also, conceptually, it's very cool versus Snapfire, who is an issue later on, but you can haunt, get on top of the Snapfire. Your haunt's also going to really bother the Silencer, who's going to die later to it in the game. It should be pretty tanky with its dispersion on lane, and they don't necessarily have the best damage to take out the Spectre if Spectre gets items.
All right, well, we're going to find out how this game is going to play itself out. But first, we're going to get a last word in from one of the coaches with Jenkins.
Like very comfort heroes for us, and also like we just play our comfortable heroes. We pretty confident in our draft, and we will try to not make Spectre like super fat, so it's okay.
Okay, thank you. We only have time for one question, so I think it's Avery and Cap casting. Back to you. Enjoy the cast, enjoy the game, everybody.
Okay, well, I did not hear what was said, but that's okay, because Faith Beyond can probably summarize what he thinks about the drafts.
I think for LGD, they kind of defensive draft at early game. I think if they can smoothly going through the early game, and if they can have some good items in mid-late game, they maybe can have a good game, because Spectre also good at skirmish and also team fight. Yeah.
Okay, we'll find out if this Spectre's gonna work out. We're heading over to a commentary duo of Cap and SVG.
A rare Spectre pickup in a much-needed win here for PSG.LGD. There have been two other Spectres picked up in this tournament. They were both picked up in the play-in stage. and they are both picked up by teams who have already been eliminated. OG and Execration both tried their hand at the Spectre. It did not work. It has not received a win here at this tournament. You could take that two different ways. Okay, maybe the Spectre was in the hands of the wrong teams. Maybe those teams just weren't good enough to make use of the Spectre. Or you could say maybe in part they're eliminated because they were picking heroes like Spectre. Which one do you think, Avery?
They're just bad.
So Spectre's a fine hero.
Yeah. I actually think the hero, we should see more of it, I think.
Why?
Like, we should have at least 4 losses instead of 2, I think.
Oh, okay.
You know
So it should be 0 and 4.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I think it's definitely been underplayed a bit. This hero still has some viability. I mean, it's a last pick hero for sure. I don't think you're taking it in any other slot. And I think some of the issue is these carries have been taken earlier in the drafts. So it hurts some of these last pick carries like Spectre, where normally, oh, it's a perfect Spectre game, I'll last pick it. By the time you get there, there's a lot of these carries are just gone, right? Especially the contested ones like Naga, Faceless Void, even the Juggernaut we've been seeing come up more in reality. And a lot of these heroes are good for Spectre. Like, you have these late game power carries, Terrorblade, Juggernaut, they do okay. Even the Naga Siren is a good matchup in a lot of sense. Lifestealer we've seen a bit more of. So it's rare that you get to last pick in a draft and it looks like a good Spectre game in terms of the carry matchup, and generally you want to see the backline supports that you can just jump on and kill. That's what makes a good Spectre game. You have 2 squishy range backline supports that you automatically get vision of and can threaten on your own. That sounds good to me. Then you only have to worry about the lane matchup. You only have to worry about the tempo, losing objectives too fast, the carry matchup. Maybe you have an Orbi on the other team. You can build up pipes, Greaves, auras that you have struggle fighting into. Then you have to think about the itemization and, you know, what your farm pattern is going to look like so you get there at a reasonable pace versus enemy carry. But if all of that aligns and you get that hero last, damn, does it feel good.
Okay, well, we'll see if every single one of those things that you just talked about aligned. I'll be honest, I didn't hear any of it. I was just watching Noob trying to get last hits against nothing to say.
That's okay. I'll give you the simple version.
Okay.
If lane go well, if get talents, jump silencer,
That's
I
still
do
too
my
much
job.
information.
Okay, well, it's a complicated hero.
It is a complicated hero. Maybe a reason why we don't see it too often. Meanwhile, Quest is going to be rocking the Primal Beast, a hero that they actually used in their group stage match against PSG.LGD, which, by the way, did go 1-1. Their previous series, the one before that, Quest managed to win in Bali, but then the series before that, PSG.LGD managed to 2-0 Quest. So we're actually dead even on games between these two teams, though 2 of those series, the first 2 were with Amar. It's the latest one that they played the Primal Beast in. Malik was rocking that one there. And he's going to be rocking it here again and see if he can have the same level of success or not.
I think if LGD get through the first 10 minutes versus Quest, they have a favorable matchup, because I think Quest plays a little too slow to punish LGD's greediness in terms of they like to play for the mid and late game team fighting. The big 5-on-5 clash is where LGD thrive. It's not in the early laning mechanics. It's not in some tempo game. And I think Quest is the weaker of the, you know, top 4 European teams in terms of punishing that greediness or the slow tempo. So in theory, I think LGD, they should be happy playing against Quest compared to the Liquid or the Gaimin matchups here, as long as they can get through the lane. The issue with this game in the draft is I don't know if you actually win the late game with the Spectre here. I think Juggernaut can just out-man fight this hero. You have a break in the Primal Beast, which is going to be super nice for the Dispersion and the Mars here. In fact, this is that Primal Mars matchup that we've seen LGD play a lot, and if you give Primal a start, he might just run away with it and trample all over you.
Yeah,
looking for
some stick charges to work with, and the Tombstone's going to die here. Let's see if Omar gets out. He's got a healing self. He lives. And it's looking like he's going to be okay. The Spectre even taking a couple of tower shots from the tower. So that's it's going to be rough for PSG.LGD. Give it up that first blood, and Shiro taking unnecessary damage like that.
This is also a really late pick Snapfire for Noob. Probably his best hero, the one that Quest are most comfortable with. And a hero they feel confident winning the early game and the late game. So there's a lot of things that, even if you get to that point with the Spectre lineup here and the 5-on-5s in the mid and late game, it's not just an automatic team fight win. You have to go through a lot. You have to go through the healing ward, the breaks, the Juggernaut man fighting you. It's not straightforward. And of course, you have this Leshrac that you kind of want to boost up as well if you're LGD. So not everything can just go into Shiro's pocket here.
Yeah, playing Leshrac without IO, that's a bold choice right there.
It's pretty bold, and they got the counter pick mid as well, so it's not like Leshrac is in a dominating lane matchup, as Noob is going to have a perfectly fine time here. Yeah, I kind of like what Quest have going for him. We'll see if Shiro can make the Spectre work, eliminate some of the back line. Even if he's behind, if he can take the Silencer and Rubik out of the fight, it'll open up a lot more for all of his other cores to just go in there and take the man fight. I think that's what LGD are kind of looking for.
Yeah, it would make this pickup right here, the Shadow Demon, a lot more effective because it did get counterpicked by the Silencer. We heard Faith Beyond talk about how that was a good choice.
Silencer's definitely annoying for the supports here on LG, as well as Nothing to Say, unless NTS wants to go for the fast Yules, which could be an option in this game. I don't think it's a bad Yules Leshrac game. I think that build's also better when you don't have people to play behind you in terms of sustain in a weird way. Like the IOLesh, I would expect you to just rush the Bloodstone. Here you can kind of go in with the Yules, maybe buy some time. You can set up for your squad. You don't have a lot of setups done on LGD. You'll find the connection early. I also think the Yules can be good versus the Primal. You have some Yules utility versus the Omni Slash as well. It could be an interesting build-up for NTS. We'll see what he decides to go for.
I 100% agree.
Go to base.
I think without IO and maybe not necessarily always reliable setup stuns, Yules looks pretty good to me, and Nothing to Say is off to a great start. He is actually shut Noob out of the lane. He had to do a walk back to base, and this was not one of those like push out the wave, he's only gonna miss a few CS. Noob had to walk away from a neutral lane and has probably missed out on a healthy amount of CS as a result. So you could see him falling a bit by the wayside in that CS counter that he was keeping toe-to-toe with Nothing to Say before that.
Just good heads-up individual play here on the LGD mid laner, and it's going to make up for that safe lane because Shiro is not having fun versus this Primal Beast. Definitely falling behind a little bit. I think you expect Spectre to have a rough laning phase. It's not the worst case for this hero. You're usually always going to be out a little bit from behind. The other upside is sometimes this hero can get away with buying less regen, just because she's pretty tanky on lane, has some decent stats. You can kind of just trade. Even if you die, you come back. Dagger for some more CS. So I think this was within the expected outcome for this pick. It might just feel bad that your last pick is having the worst early game here on the side of LGD.
Yeah,
Not
I mean,
something we see very common in the current meta.
you say you're expected to be behind. Are you expected to be this far behind, though?
Might be
He's
a
got
little
half the
far.
CS of TA2000, who isn't even that far up in the CS chart.
It's acceptable to me. I'll put it that way. It's
You
not
have very low
great.
expectations for Spectre.
Well, the thing is, I'm looking at the net worth, right? Because I think for Spectre, the net worth is more indicative because this is a hero in general. You're not going to buy the early regen items and that type of stuff. And in that sense, he's not incredibly far behind.
Okay.
It's just, I don't know how long he can stay on this lane. Primal's so damn strong.
He's got a Lotus, got to eat it. And even then, he's only barely going to be able to limp away. Shiro, where does he go from here?
This
He's
is
got no regen.
also one of the struggles of Spectre is your jungle speed is pretty damn slow. So generally that's why you want to be able to stand on the lane, at least get to your first item. The Blade Mail is the farming item on this hero, as well as the fighting item. So as long as you get to that at a reasonable pace, then you can start to get active.
Oh, look at this
as well
play.
as farming some stacks.
Nothing to Say. He
Very
makes a
nice.
rotation. We saw this a couple times during like Dream League and stuff. With the mid making the rotation to the Wisdom Rune, if it works out, it's brilliant. You get a kill on a support, you take the Wisdom Rune away from the enemy team. But on the other side of things, they do manage to get the kill on the Spectre. So they may be living the high life everywhere else. The supports just got double Wisdom Runes. The mid laner just got a kill. Shiro is suffering.
Kisses going out on NTS with a blood grenade from Omar. That's just an easy rotation. So much for the Leshrac's momentum here. They just turn it straight back around against him. And looking for that 8-minute power rune in 20 seconds.
And that was
Landed.
also because he killed the Rubik. The Rubik was able to rotate back to mid off the TP. So, and in fact, he's going to use that momentum to get another kill on mid. Double kill there.
That's just
Leaving.
a freebie. That's just a feed if I've ever seen one, especially when you have this arena up bottom before Omni Slash. Ideally, you try and force some action down here on TA2000, or at least get the spin out, then he can't stand on the lane. Why's gonna poke? You just don't have your supports down here. It's a pretty slow support duo from LGD again.
Yeah.
Like, they really are just ramping up the team fight and the scale. It does hurt your early game. And it means your cores are going to suffer a bit until you have the levels, especially the ults between the Shadow Demon and the Undying here. It's going to be a slow game. See how much Quest can pick up the pace here and maybe get some windows open during that time.
Now, another interesting note about this series matchup is the last time these two teams did face a bit against each other. PSG.LGD, they are known for their oddball safe lane carry picks. right? Shiro used to play the Clinks pickup all the time. They are one of the few teams who's willing to run Muerta as an example, and they did run Muerta against Quest, and it was a losing pick for them. That hero did not work out at all in that game. So we'll see whether or not this Spectre is going to suffer the same fate.
You think Shiro wants to play normal heroes and Xiao 8?
I have to imagine this is 100% Shiro's playstyle that is being...
I don't know, man. He used to play a lot of different carries before he got on LGD as well. Like, he plays all the standard carries. All these Terrorblade, Faceless Voids, Ursas, whatever. Trolls.
Yeah, but maybe that was him being forced to do standard things.
A lot of ults used, a lot of spells missed down here as well.
Kaori's definitely dead. Omni Slash going out. See if they can kill the Juggernaut when he comes back down. Blade Fury's back up. They'll just TP away. They have no BKB piercing disables and will not have any for the entire game when it comes to spin TP out. Now, later on, you can limit the effectiveness of Blade Fury by slowing him down with the Demonic Purge, but it is going to be a constant problem when it comes to his farming out on the map.
And Quest got a decent trade mid tower damage-wise, so he's making up for all of those ults going down for a silencer, and now they're even going to defend their tier 1.
Couldn't get the God's Rebuke off in time to try and shove Malik away. Malik will get the Pulverize that will kill New.
And another Tombstone. It's been a lot of
last hit to TA2000. Very nice.
They will help him towards his Battle Fury here. It's just an overextension by LGD. I don't think they got enough off that first Haunt Arena to justify committing for this tier 1. And now you can just send the Primal straight through the gate back top, kick Shiro back off this lane. There's not a lot to answer Malik in this early game. He already has Phase Drum, itemizing the skirmish often and early here. I like the idea. There's not much to stop him. A lot of the answers for LGD come on later when they have the levels here. That's where your Shadow Demon is going to be effective. But for right now, these towers are getting pressured heavily. LGD getting split around the map. Shiro's going to get dunked on again. I don't know if he dies here. It's just
they don't have the
terrible
support rotations to get here, so he's dead.
Okay, I mean, your carry is gone like that. You TP to Mars up here, got nothing. Y is dying to Kisses mid, and your mid 1 tower has also been slain here. Things are not going too smooth for LGD in the first 11 minutes here.
No, they're not. And add insult to injury, the Primal Beast is really working out. A hero that was a losing hero on both sides in their meetup in the group stage. So that's definitely, if they lose this game, there's going to be some questions in the draft. Do they take the Primal Beast for nothing to say, even though they lost with it last time? Do they give it to Malik again after he's now succeeded with it? He's going to have a very fast BKB at this rate. Phase drums, like the little pit stop for drums, is nice.
I would not underestimate LG's ability to come back in this game off team fights. I just think this has kind of been the story for them in the last 2 months, right? Like, you have a rough laning stage, you have some weird niche pick for Shiro that doesn't go well in lane outside of maybe the Clinks, and even then it's a Clinks. And then you're kind of just hoping you get into this mid late game from an advantageous position. I can't help but feel like LGD are just being a little too stubborn on this. I'm not sure exactly what it is. Like, maybe they just feel there's limitations in the hero pools right now with the meta, or that the laning mechanics aren't there, so why try and do something we're not necessarily good at? I don't know. Maybe it's some internal team decision, but damn does it feel very stubborn out of this team in combination with Xiao 8 and just continuing to run what hasn't really been working in a sense.
No. There's the reason why they're in the lower bracket right now.
Radametos, brutal but true.
And an onslaught. Pulverize combo, chain stun to death. You had 0 chance to get out of that one. It's come to a point where PSG.LGD, if they actually win the laning phase, I'm like all in on them winning the game, you know? Because every game they seem to lose the laning phase. And, you know, they got like a 50-50 to come back.
I mean, it's not just the laning phase. Like, you look at this draft, it's how the little synergies add up between the supports in your 2 and 3, which I think is one of the biggest components of this meta is what does that look like? Here you have Shadow Demon Undying. These 2 supports just don't offer any sort of low cooldown threat in combination with the Mars and the Leshrac, so your play options are just not there. You're pretty much at the whim of Quest here in terms of what they want to do and where they want to move. You can take defensive fights, which is something LGD can look for in this game.
Four-man decay will not save you.
Global also makes those defensive fights hard.
Yeah.
This Silencer Spectre matchup can also go a bit both ways, right? With this Global, preventing some of the Haunts coming out when LGD really want them.
Sure.
That is something else that can happen. If Quest are the ones initiating, their lineup becomes a lot better versus what LGD want to do. if they have the global up and they already have like Healing Ward down.
I'm going to need you to expand on the synergy aspect of PSG.LGD, because it's not that they can disrupt into Split Earth. That's pretty good. They've got Tombstone with Arena, which is a nice combo. So what do you mean that they can't seem to function together?
I mean, NTS went this Yules, right? If he runs in, he Yules someone into a Split Earth, what's the follow-up? Here they're going to commit everything onto Noob, and he's trying to TP. This will not work. It'll buy some time, however.
Yeah, fortunately, the Yule Scepter is disabled that they didn't need. Global Silence for nice Demonic Purge. Keeps Malik from getting on top of the back line here. Now, they're probably going to lose their Undying, but if they can save some of this damage from the Omni Slash, they might still have some fighting power left around this Tombstone. You can see nothing to say. Still going to brave it, but a lot of burst damage back to him. Oh, the spear back. TA2000 dodged it with the Blade Fury. Now the Tombstone's dealt with. Quest will run down an additional hero, perhaps. Kaori. Oh, no, what? TA2000 has so many stacks on him, man. Oh, what a disaster. That fight was kind of okay for Quest if they kill New, but instead they don't get him, and the Juggernaut dies.
Huge pickup here for LG. That is not a kill they were meant to get, but hey, that Shadow Poison goes through spell immunity now. He had 8 stacks on him at the end of that fight. Killed him for 1,000 damage. You are just gone. This is the benefit of Atos Snapfire. You are damn tanky. It stalls out this go, makes LGD commit very hard. If that charge goes through, you might just get wiped there. Very heads-up purge by Planet. Planet really salvaged a lot of this engagement. As well as this creep wave.
Did he even realize he had this many stacks on him? Or
no, I don't think he was even thinking about it here.
6 stacks? Like, what the hell?
This is number 7, and it just pops. Whew, that feels damn good with the max poison here for Planet as he
the purge, the kisses. That'll finish him off. He's got the Yule Scepter, but he's going to come back down into more kisses. They don't run out. Now, killing Malik is a big pickup. This guy has had a pretty good game, but they're struggling to finish him off. They finally do, but Noob is in a good position to chase down the extra heroes now. New. Probably going to be caught here as the Split Earth stolen by the Rubik. He spears the Snapfire in front of him, blinks away. New gets out a second time on just a sliver of HP.
LGD making some plays happen in these fights. Not easy fights, especially the way they're taking them. At least they're finding some core interactions, and that was before the BKB came out on the Primal. So now that fight is going to get a lot harder that Malik has the spell immunity. However, it's buying time for Shiro to catch up. Like, he is recovering at a decent pace. Blade Mail Spectre, it will farm out pretty fast. You also have the Spark of Courage on this hero, so a lot of innate early tankiness here. Pretty nice that this hero can benefit from the new neutral items. That is one aspect I like. And Spectre's a lot about getting your talents up. If you go for this Ags build later, then you want these dagger talents, but if you don't, then you generally just want the stats and the damage. They're not the greatest talents in the game, but Spectre is one of the hardest scaling heroes, so these talents do matter, especially the 21. It's a long way away for now, but it'll come pretty fast if these fights start heating up and Shiro can get in there and survive. You were asking about the small synergies earlier. I just feel Leshrac is not a hero you want to put on an island, because a lot of times he doesn't have enough damage to commit into the tanky mids that most people are playing right now, which means you need damage follow-up or lockdown follow-up, and Shadow Demon and Undying just aren't really providing either. You could also just play this hero with saves behind him, but in theory, Shadow Demon and Undying are saves, they're just not sustained. Generally, Leshrac benefits the most from like Io, Oracle, Treant type heroes. They give him a lot of extra EHP plus heals, so you go in the fight, you're using all your mana, you're staying alive. Okay, Shadow Demon Disruption and Grab Ally are nice here for the Leshrac, but they're not actually boosting his EHP. They're just stalling the fight out, which means if you come back into the fight and you're still in the same position, it doesn't do much for NTS in this type of situation.
Which, I guess...
nice little gank.
That means it will be really effective if he can get to, like, Bloodstone status?
Yes.
Right, then your save will allow you to be able to get a Bloodstone that heals you up a bunch, and then you'll get the sustain aspect, and the saves will be a lot more potent for PSG.LGD.
Anything that lets them skew this Juggernaut going in and just cutting them down is going to make their saves better.
Yeah.
So if that's Bloodstone, if it's E-Blade, if it's Nihilism, if it's Wind Wakers, if it's Glimmer Force Stabs, whatever that is, yeah, that's going to make the teamfight feel a lot better for LGD.
He's going to be in trouble here, but he does have some allies to tank up this Omni Slash with him. Demonic Purge going to be used here, trying to slow him down, but Noob is going to be able to land a good cookie, help burst down these heroes, and get the Tombstone. Malik's now looking for more.
He's so fast with the
really
plus the
wants nothing to say. Oh, and he had BKB, so he had a chance to go for it.
Hard to see that through the fog. before the Yules goes out. I also think he's happy to just keep the BKB up and go into Roche with the team here. Healing Ward, 3 points. T1000 will clear through this quickly. LGD in theory can contest this. You do have Flaunt up, and you did get a global silence out of Quest. This is not the fastest Roche I've ever seen. I just don't know if you can get back here, I guess. They're just going to concede it. More ground given up by LG to play towards this late game, as these fights have not gone their way. And a lot of it is, okay, you're taking up the Omni Slash pretty decent, but then what happens after that? You can't keep your Tombstone alive for a Shredder. There's not a reliable way to kill this Healing Ward in the engagement. T2000 has the global to bail him out as well as his own spin. It's just very hard to commit and take these cores down right now, unless you're getting Flesh Golem hits plus those poison stacks.
Yeah, ultimately, if Omni Slash doesn't kill anybody, he's still having a much bigger impact than Spectre is in these fights.
That is
Pretty
absolutely true. And
it's a 4 versus 5 when you have
sad.
Healing Ward up. Spectre does like a little bit of damage, which is easily outdone by Healing Ward.
You in trouble again. He is very far up.
Yeah, what is he doing up here? Did he just assume that Quest was gonna just all in for a tier 2 top or what?
Maybe not respecting the map capabilities right now and how much Quest are happy to take any kills over these small objectives. I don't think they really care about getting a tier 2 as much as they care about taking heroes off the map. And that'll be the second BKB up onto Noob here. Spell immunity on all 3 cores online. And they're stealing some ancient stacks on top of it right now. Bots up. This is just way too efficient from Quest. LGD need to get a fight going, or at least some sort of bait on a core. This does not feel even right now.
Yeah, too much farm is being taken away from them. Took over that triangle, took the farm out of there. Quest is aggressively farming top in this jungle area. And what's Spectre getting? Just a little paltry amount of farm at a time. It's working towards the Manta. That'll help tank up the Omni Slash some more, but don't think it's going to answer the AoE damage that both the Snapfire and the big Primal Beast is bringing to the table.
Quest are also getting to their levels faster than LGD here. They have like a 20% XP advantage right now. That is equating to 10 levels that Quest have extracted on top of LGD, and that is talents for these cores, right? You have 15 talents already up for the Jug and the Snapfire. These are already pretty good ones. These 20s are just going to get better, and the 25s, of course, the cherry on top, as Moloch's going to start the fight on a very nice target.
Yeah, get the Shadow Demon now. They are going to be able to counter and go for the Rubik kill here off of the arena. Global Sound slows it down a little bit. TA2000 is a bit low. Remember, he has the Aegis, though. Why Smile? He's going to be a target here. Gets away off the Glimmer Cape. PSG.LGD are actually doing a pretty good job kiting this one around. TA2000 is going to have to go for a spin TP out on Revive here.
Does have it. Will he make it?
Oh, he got the spear on him. Wasn't able to get the Blade Fury before that. Really nicely timed by New. He had to get the spear out and basically on top of the Juggernaut on Revive to be able to get that kill.
Is that actually how that works? I feel like you should be able to spin that.
I think you could spin it if you come back down from like Eul's Scepter or something, but maybe not off of Aegis Revive?
I think you can spin out of that. I'm not 100% sure. Maybe Spear is a little weird because it's on top of you. Either way, very clutch timing regardless, right? Because you still have to hit this at the exact respawn point. Very nice pickup for LGD, and a really good fight. Just gets baited in on that Tombstone. Finally, Y gets to have some solid impact here with his ult and that Tombstone remaining up. No Snapfire. And the supports from Quest just got taken out first. The Rubik died top, and then the Silencer got haunted on mid and ended up in like a 1v1 with Shiro where he had the TP out of there. So both supports from Quest are just out of that fight at the start. Very awkward situation, though. That is what the Spectre can do to you. And they'll get a Shard on Planet. That is a nice one here. Some extra healing, some extra cleanse for the Leshrac, who is really going to benefit from the Dispel here because you can remove all the DOTs from the Silencer that get put on the Lesh.
Yeah, even like maybe preemptively getting Global Silence off of some hero.
Also true, yes.
Maybe the Leshrac.
You can just cleanse yourself before the fight. 7 seconds duration to counteract the Global is pretty significant here.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier than the Oracle counter gameplay.
Quest will do the Tormentor themselves. Good work towards a Scotty here. TA2000 wants the big item now. So that'll help limit some of the sustain options that Leshrac is inevitably going to go into, as he has gone Sanjkaya, now is going to go BKB next.
I mean, both these teams like to kind of just farm into their timings, which tend to be like 40, 50 minutes. So in a way, I think both teams are kind of happy just hitting creeps and getting their next set of items here. Of course, somebody is incorrect about that. And that is what we will find out here in the next 50 minutes. Right now, Quest are definitely ahead in that regard and getting to that set of third items faster. If they can push the pace and get that Roshan at a nice timing before the big Spectre damage items come online, I think you're reliably winning that fight.
Yeah.
I just worry about the damage coming out from LGD. A lot of it is based off the Leshrac going in. You already have so much spell immunity plus a healing ward to fight through. It's tough. You have to take these fights long, which means I feel a lot of it comes down to planet. Like, you need clutch disruptions to counteract the Omni Slash, maybe get some Jug Illusions, remove some of the primal damage with the Demonic Purge if you can get it out there. Any other poison stacks you can get up are going to be nice to pop this damage after spells have been thrown out in the initial volley.
I think maybe Disruption for Omni Slash is really good if it's like a single target situation, but I also think Pulverize is a really good ability to be able to get rid of with that Disruption as well.
That's why it's very key what Planet does in the initial go.
Yeah, he's got a hard decision tree to go through every fight.
And it's also, he might just be global. Like, does he cleanse before the global? Is that even a thing that we can reliably expect from him? Tier 2 getting poked here from Quest. They're going to try and start the fight.
Oh, the blink away, the kisses and the initiation from Malik all goes wrong.
Very awkward from Quest. He might be lucky he didn't get speared there, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think that's the type of fight LGD would love to take. Some deep fight around their tombstone behind a tower where the Haunt is going to crush your backline while your front line's initiating in an awkward spot. Quest need to be careful about jumping that deep, unless you're sure you're bringing down a big core instantly. And NTS just going to charge up the hill. He does not have BKB. He feels invincible. I don't know if that's true.
Glimmer Cape is going to be used on him, but they have the detection to be able to reveal him. The Global Silence covers it. Yule Scepter, Self, the bounce around, the Omni Slash faces him as he comes down. Bit unfortunate there. Meanwhile, Shiro did pop his ultimate and ran down the support, but his team is losing this fight. Maybe Neo could save it though. Got a spear on the TA-2000 against the arena walls. TA-2000's get a bit low. Cookie, got to be able to help him out. Slow him down with the dagger.
The shield rune.
Shiro, oh, shield rune! And he pops a Blade Fury, TPs away.
Oh, holy Gaben.
That
has
was a nice pickup.
His prayers.
He's also kind of lucky. I mean, he went for the spin TP. I'm not sure if he realizes, but Shiro did just complete a Basher. So Shiro was a non-factor for many of their early fights, as Spectre usually is. But now we're getting to a point where Spectre is, you know, actually doing something.
This is so close to being a huge turnaround in the game for LG. Unfortunately, you're going to have to settle for an amazing fight for Shiro and an underwhelming fight for NTS. However, I guess you take that trade, right? Because this game really is about the Spectre. He got both support solo there. So much experience for Shiro. He's already almost level 20 off that, just out of nowhere.
That's huge.
A single double support kill, and this Spectre is back on top. That is absolutely massive for him, and LG will take that every time. As like you said, he got the Basher. You get Abyssal finished here plus level 20 talent. All of a sudden, you got 3,000 HP potentially, as I assume he'll take the HP when you're not going to... Oh, he took the dagger slow. Very interesting. Normally, I think you go these talents when you're going the Ags build, so you play off this dagger, but...
I think there's a reason for that. And I think he may even disregard the 25 dispersion talent as well. And that's because this Primal Beast is having a good game. You're going to have a break mechanic in all of these fights. We're going to have an Aghanim Scepter here in a very short amount of time.
I can see not having to rely on the defense capabilities here, though. 350 HP on this hero that's a lot.
A good amount.
You know, this game might come down to man fighting Juggernaut. Both these talents are fine. I don't think there's an issue with either one. He also has Cloak of Flames for some extra tankiness here, so he's going to be a big boy no matter what. And maybe it might just come down to, you know, how do you deal with this Omni Slash anyway? How do you deal with the break mechanics regardless? And he was thinking about Abyssal. He'll think about the Scotty now. This is a good position to be in with the Spectre in general. This is roughly where I think you expect to be with the hero, especially off a rough laney phase. Again, you don't have to be ahead. You can take these fights. It's the power of the Haunt. Daedalus finished for Noob as he is approaching his own level 20 talent, though. This is why Snapfire is the first pick right here. He does a lot in the early game. He helps you team fight, and then all of a sudden, the physical scale comes out when you don't expect it here. You gotta be careful on these jumps. If I'm Quest, I'm thinking about protecting my backline. That's what I'm thinking about. Where does the Spectre jump to, and how can I help my Rubik and Silencer survive the jump and turn it around onto Shiro here? Because if that happens, I think you're very happy in the exchange. If you take these fights where you commit in with the Omni Slash, it's getting disrupted, the Bulwark's tanking up some random hits, and then this fight gets elongated while Shiro kills your backline, that is not a situation you should be happy in if you're Quest.
I would say that mostly comes down to the Rubik and Silencer just protecting each other, right?
Yeah, double Glimmer between them. You also have this Rubik Shard for a lift. There's no instant illusion kill, however. You do have a global, so you can instant global the Haunt.
Jump in, straight arena, but only catching Malik inside of that arena, who easily uses BKB. Now they're going to use the Purge on him, slow him down. Why you Smile gets a really good tombstone out on the side, and Quest is pretty split.
Yeah, they got
Shiro's going to try and run down Noob, who hops down into the river area. He's going to have a chance to be able to blink away. Meanwhile, the spear lands on TA2000. He is not getting much damage done whatsoever, but nothing to say, overextended himself and got killed. Now the Omni Slash put on to New after he killed the tombstone, so now TA2000 can have some big impact. He'll cleave down one, and the Pulverize to be able to stop the Undying TP away. How did that go so well for Quest?
Shiro just got kited out on the backside by Noob and Omar. Putting on the move, stunning this Spectre up, Glimmer Capes, proving super detrimental to the initial Haunt as Shiro just didn't see anything. Both supports instant Glimmer. Kaori holds the global here, so he gets value out of it later. And then NTS, he's haste runed in. He just dies to Shredder under the tower. Like, he's just chasing way too far with no armor.
Yikes.
Spike gets... I thought that initial split was good for LGD, and it ended up being terrible.
Yeah. TA2000 is level 20 now, so he's got that really bugged out level 20 lifesteal talent.
It's a damn good one, especially in the Spectre matchup where it just comes down to man fighting each other in the late game. Scotty done for TA2000 first here. Planet, you are flirting with danger, my friend.
It really is.
He will escape, and of course this Primal Ags is finished right on cue. So now you have a break mechanic for this Mars and the Spectre.
Bye-bye, Planet. You're not getting that Wisdom Rune.
That is also something that's going to be heating up here for Quest. And this is just such a good timing for Quest. This next 5 minutes with this Aegis, they have everything they want online, right? The break, the Snapfire damage, the Juggernaut tankiness to push the high ground with the Sealing Ward on 2700 HP. He's just going straight Butterfly on top of all this. Abuse the fact that an MKB is nowhere close for Shiro in this game. In fact, what is close for him? It is Scotty finished for him. So also very nice timing here. The Spectre's still having a pretty damn good game. You did get a Silencer buyback out of that fight. This is a very game-deciding high ground push here for Quest. If you don't get it with this Aegis, this game is going to get prolonged, and then you're heading into late-game Spectre territory. I'm sure TA2000 is confident in his carry matchup is the team. He'll start
Jump onto the Undying. See, Malik can't quite burst him. He's going to get speared back. This is dangerous. The Kisses will manage to blow up too, though, with the help beyond the Slash. The Mars and the Undying both die. Malik, just with his sheer aggression, manages to set up a pretty good fight for them.
There's just no damage going into him there. I thought that was going to be worse than Primal. He got speared before the BKB. Didn't even have to drop the Healing Ward. That's just ridiculous here. TA2000 has absolutely no fear in this game. Playing super far up. That was a value Omni Slash with the cleave.
It really was.
Versus Spell.
This is, I mean, you can go late game Spectre, but if you're this far ahead in net worth and you've got two physical damage dealers that are scaling really nicely, and everybody else is scaling decently in magic damage, boy, he dies fast. Nothing to say. No save there from Planet.
Man, Omar has destroyed NTS with these stolen Split Earths. He even has the Shard to back it up here, so that's going to help him go high ground. And he's done more than the Lesh this game, it feels like. As Quest will take a second lane. No answer from LGD. This is while Haunt is up. He's just killing your Tombstone here.
Blade Fury, they're hoping for some bashes here. New set up disruption, bails him out of the scatter blast. The physical damage is danger, but Mew does manage to blink away. Now the Pulverize is going to be used onto the Spectre, bringing him low, and there goes that Aghanim.
He used Haunt too. He's just gone, no, but that's just GG.
GG.
I don't know, this has to be back to the drawing board for LGD, right? They're playing slower than Quest. I don't even know if their scale is better. they have very little early game play options, and they're not winning the lanes. I mean, what are you doing in this game? And
they're also giving comfort heroes, right? They gave the Sapphire away,
yes,
which you said is first pick for a reason. It wasn't in this draft, but it's like, how many times are you going to give Noob Snapfire, man?
If there's one hero you have to think about when you're playing Quest, it's a Snapfire. I think it does way too much for them. It bounces out all of TA2000's heroes. It gives them a flex hero. I'm sure they can play it off lane. Then you get this Primal Beast first. You're flexing both of them. It should be illegal that Noob gets his hero last in the draft, and he's in a lane where the matchup's pretty free. I mean, that's the problem with Snapfire. Like, what do you play for it? But Lesh is not doing much this year. We even saw NTS play that lane really well.
Yeah, he did.
It's just the matchup is not good for Leshrac. You get this Yules, but you can't gap close the Snap. Even when you do, Snap just throws all this damage into you. We saw in the later fights when NTS is chasing him down by the tier 1 top. You run in, you get shredded under the tower, you're gone. What are you doing here, right? Maybe if it's Lesh with Bloodstone, I could see this lineup come together a bit more.
Sure.
Yeah. Again, it just feels like so many of these heroes need so much in this game, and you have a Spectre.
Yeah, a combination of picking Leshrac without Io, picking a Spectre, a lot of ideas to reevaluate when it comes to draft, and we'll let our panel handle all of that.
Thank you very much, Cap and SVG. There's a lot to break down, but I want to start with something that, as I was walking back to the panel, I walked past the Arabic Talent green room, and I did not need to speak that language in order to understand what they were saying, because it was just 2 words of repeat. Ban Snapfire, Effie. Is that simple?
They did say that very loudly and passionately. Yeah, I mean, this Snapfire is just too good in this meta, and Noob is too good at it. Quest just plays such a solid game around it that I'm surprised it made it through to the last phase. On LGD's end, honestly, I like the Spectre. I thought the idea was so cool, especially as the game progressed. We saw that the Spectre definitely contributed a lot to these mid-game team fights, but she wasn't set up for success in that her team could take her there seamlessly, right? The lanes weren't that strong. The Leshrac at some point just got completely bodied by the Snapfire and Juggernaut, and LGD couldn't outfight them because they weren't in a winning position at any point of the game.
And they were really bad at diving too, so like the casters pointed out, they couldn't really get on top of Noob. And then in that last push, it was like kind of a pathetic looking defense. He's just standing there auto-attacking. He took like 6 poison stacks, took the damage, he's like, that's fine. And he puts his healing ward down, and it just lives for like 30 seconds. Like, he just stayed alive completely. So they were just too far ahead at that point that the Spectre's damage reflection didn't mean anything when they were that far behind.
Yeah, I mean, 23, you can pick Snapfire at 23 pick is kind of weird. And also for LGD, I think they are too defensive at the early game, but it's because of the draft. I think they can come back from team fight, but obviously they fall behind too much on net worth. So this game is a hard game for them.
A hard game, it got out of control, and they never really were able to get a grip back. It was kind of unfortunate. We know, and we've seen Quest being one of the teams that plays some of the faster paced Dota, Effie. Mm-hmm. And this was no difference. It didn't feel like PSG.LGD prepared for that speed.
Yeah, I mean, Quest kind of got everything that they wanted, right? They got their Riyadh, they got their Primal Beast, they got their Snapfire, and it was a seamless game from them. What I really like about LGD as a team is that they're always willing to experiment with their drafts, and when a pick comes out that looks kind of surprising to most people, I like to think that there's this idea behind it that could potentially work, but maybe these kinds of ideas shouldn't come out during the lower bracket, right? Maybe you should just try to match the tempo of the team you're playing against. You know, pick some Enchantresses, some Beastmasters, things that can play into Quest.
Yeah, but we'll see, of course, for the second game if they'll make that adjustment. We also have selected a play to analyze a little bit extra. It's the STC play analysis, and there were quite a few skirmishes, I'm going to call them, Purge, to choose from. But we went for this one as it kind of illustrated, I don't know, I almost want to say, the weakness of PSG.LGD in this game.
Yeah, this fight was kind of interesting. It was very, very spread out. Every kind of hero pairing was doing a little skirmish in different locations, but ultimately it just went a lot better for the Quest side. He kills the Tombstone, he gets a great Omni Slash off that guarantees New's death. He ends up Blink grabbing the kill on the Undying as well, so just kind of taking the enemy team apart there. And I really like what Effie said about trying new ideas in the draft, but with the Spectre pick. But the problem is they grab those ideas and they smash them on the ground 3 times in a row, and they're like, "This is bad. Get out of here next game." That's the problem.
I mean, the opening we saw on one side, the opening on Dying Mars, which just the impact compared to the Rubik and the Primal Beast is just a world of difference. I feel like Faith Beyond. This was not the LGD that we have seen over the last few days in the group stage. I feel.
You mean the opening?
Yeah, and just the way they played. It felt a little bit. I mean, does LGD normally require a 1-game warm-up game?
But actually, I think the opening is exactly the same with they played EG 3 days ago. It's Undying on Mars and 15th pick Shadow Demon. So they picked this before, but I think maybe it's not good against Quest.
Yeah, they just need to step up their tempo a little bit. Purge, is it a lot draft related, or you feel like play related here as well?
I mean, I'd have to go back and watch the details for the safe lane, because they did have an Undying protecting a Spectre against a melee core in the Primal Beast. So hypothetically, it should be okay for them to contest or to help Spectre. But traditionally, it's not the easiest lane for Spec. Primal Beast has a huge base damage advantage. Spectre relies on dagger and base damage to get last hits, and you're usually behind by like 15 damage versus the Primal. So it's probably hard to outlast hit there, but he was really far behind. So like either pick a different carry maybe, or maybe ensure Primal Beast isn't your offlaner so you can have a more standard carry getting last hits.
It's a tough situation to be in. Of course, this is elimination on the line here at Riyadh Masters. It's a best of 3, and with Quest now 1 game up, it means that PSG.LGD is with their backs against the rope. Luckily, though, PSG.LGD is no stranger to being in stressful situations.
Can be stressful, and no one knows stress better than PSG.LGD. How does PSG.LGD stay calm in moments of extreme stress? Through 13 years in Dota, 5 top 5 places in the International, and winning last year's Riyadh Masters, LGD has used the same cleansing and routine. Now, finally, their secrets can be yours.
放轻松点。
For the low price of only $8, you can purchase the very same kit Zhao 8 created to calm, heal, and relax his players during stressful Dota 2 events. The PSG.LGD GG Easy Relaxy Kit.
放轻松点。
Saunas, hot baths, and steam are essential to the healing of the body and soul. But how can you relax if you are worried about your decaying MMR? Our patented mobile high-speed gaming platform will always allow you to pub and rest in any conditions. Does your pathetic, weak, malnourished, broken, hideous, deformed, absolutely despicable gamer body need more than just heat? For normal gamers, standard acupuncture may work to stimulate the body, but Chinese Dota players must have extremely thick skin due to their passionate fans. That's why our package includes our patented planet-size acupuncture kit to penetrate even the most hardened Dota 2 pros. And finally, our revitalizing face scrub has extreme exfoliation designed especially for high-stress grand finals at the International.
你先跟我回来去洗把脸。啊，小运动，小运动。
The PSG.LGD GG No Relaxation Package for only $8. Buy now and get 3 free bottles of Wise Brain Juice. And your own personal responsibility guide
不好意思，我的错，你还好吗？不好意思。
to fix any issues you may encounter for 30 days. Buy today. Buy today. Buy it!
放轻松点。
I hope that relaxation kit is successful for this game. That was a great little bit of insight in PSG.LGD's ritual. Do you have any traumas that you want to talk about? You're in a safe space.
What? No.
Are you sure nobody hammered a nail into your back?
No.
Did he ever scream, "Be relaxed" at you?
No.
No.
There was a little bit of a break before that one, but no, we of course are preparing for game number 2. And it is serious business. There is a lot on the line for this, but I mean, it's not wrong. PSG.LGD has been in a lot of tough situations, so coming back after a loss they just experienced should be easy, should be something that they are prepared for and prepared with dealing with, so they can fully focus on the game ahead. We're going to fully focus on the game ahead. And we got to start with the draft, because Purge, they want to try something different. As what you said, Spectre, you know, something relatively different. Maybe the opening was the same way they wanted it to, but they had a full day preparing for Quest. They saw exactly what Talon did to dismantle Quest's gameplay, and maybe they learned the wrong lessons, or what do you feel they should do for game 2?
I think they had a great drive through the countryside, and right at the end they crashed. Ooh. Is what happened, because I think the Leshrac pick into not banning Snapfire put them in a weird position. They banned out Pangolier and Beastmaster instead, and that's the punish of the flex hero. It's that you don't necessarily know where their hero is going to go. It could be mid Pango, it could be offlane Beastmaster. They chose those instead. The Snapfire did well against the Leshrac, and they, despite not being in the position to pick the last overall hero, they still got a really good lineup. So they did really good, but that flex that happened ended up meaning the Leshrac was worse, and their carry matchup just wasn't that good.
Looking back at game 1 drafts, I think, so LGD, Quest started Rubik, so yep. LGD took Undying plus Mars, but what they should have done is taken Snap plus Mars, and I think if they can make an adjustment like that and still give away the Primal Beast, it'll look a lot cooler. Because if they had Snap plus Mars, then their Spectre in the end could have really worked, because on paper, the hero does a lot in terms of team fight. Like, LGD are a team that prioritizes having heroes that can take these team fights around Roche, and Spectre does a lot for them in terms of how they want to play around Roshan in particular, but when you give away Snap, who is a hero that's naturally good against your mid laner and naturally good against killing the Spectre when she ganks around and stuff, it makes it harder. So I hope that they can adjust correctly.
That's kind of an interesting point, because a lot of times what happens is when she said prioritize Snap earlier, I'm like, okay, well, they prioritize the mid. That means their carry's going to be banned out. Well, if you're going to pick a weird-ass hero like Spectre, yeah, you might as well pick the most meta heroes in the early stage.
It's true, we're going to find out if they are going to get their hands on some of those meta heroes. I can only imagine that we might have a little bit of a change of scenario as well in terms of who goes on which side, and maybe more importantly, who gets first pick. It is gonna be PSG.LGD that is first pick this time around, and they are also on the Radiant side. So we've got a completely swap of sides and picks, and regardless of Quest not having first pick, they still respect ban the Rubik. They also removed the Shadow Demon, which is potentially a little bit unusual. Timber still removed by the side of Quest, and we'll see if they still end up banning out the Enigma like they did previous, or if they want to go somewhere else, if there's something else that they should be worried about. For example, either Undying or Snapfire. Fifth Beyond, where do you feel like this one's going?
I think Effie just made a very good point about Snapfire, and I think LGD should pick it, because yesterday when Quest against Talon picked 3 times for Snapfire. So I think it's a really good hero against them. Yeah, it's good. It's a good pick.
Thank God, because now you're not even worried about the Undying, because looking back at game 1, they took the Undying as their pick right after the Rubik, but had they just taken that Snapfire with the Mars and given away the Undying, it would have been better for them, because they would have had their solution to Tombstone anyway. So now Quest are in a position where they can pick Undying for themselves, but they already have a hero to deal with it on LGD. Primal Beast also still in the pool.
Yeah, and also going through the yesterday's Quest versus Talon, I think in both game 1 and 3, Quest feel like when they under pressure at early game, they will make some mistakes on side lanes. So I think LGD should go like more aggressive on early game.
This is so good, this Void right after the Snapfire. Talon did this yesterday, actually, where they got 23 Savages Void. I think at this early point of the game, too, an overall 8th pick. But Faceless Void is a hero that back when Primal Beast was super broken and being played in every pub, Faceless Void was the only hero that could hold its own against it on lane. So this addresses the flex to the offlane that Quest could do on this Primal Beast very well. You also have incredible synergy with the Chronosphere into Mortimer's Kisses.
Yeah, that's true. I do like the Mirana that Quest went for. Omar played it fantastic last time they ran it. It was also with Primal Beast. They also had a Shadow Demon to set things up, and they went for a Mars that draft. So I would expect to see them have more setup potential. But Mirana against Snapfire is pretty cool, I think. Gives you definitely some good gank and roam potential against mid to potentially kill her in lanes where she sometimes just kind of runs away with it. Mirana's ulti's kind of cool against Snapfire ulti as well, just giving movement speed extra to your teammates, possibly dodge those a little bit better. So kind of some cool formulations of a draft so far for Quest. I just like that they have varied openings. It's not something we see super often for these teams that just break into the tournament scene. Sometimes teams join the scene at a higher level and they're like, okay, this is a strat that works for us, and they stick to it too much and it leads them getting countered. So fun to see Quest be flexible.
But I don't feel they're that flexible because their Primal Beast plus Mirana is something they always do, right? It's not like they caught LGD off guard, so this is something that LGD should have preparation for. But what I do like about the way Quest play Mirana plus Primal Beast is they're constantly doing these two-man smokes with Omar plus either Malik or Noob, whoever's playing the Primal, and they're finding really core kills in that 10 to 15-minute stage of the game. So it does give them a means to potentially kill that Void early on, but with the Shadow Demon being taken out of the pool and the Mars being kind of low in priority because you don't want to give away your Primal Beast flex, the Mirana just looks like a Mirana, right? She's not countering an Enchantress on lane. She doesn't have any particularly amazing combinations.
We got the Naga, the Brood, and the Lycan removed on the side of PSG.LGD, and on the other side we have got the Skywrath and the Elder Titan removed. We know PSG likes especially the Elder Titan, but also in combination with the Faceless Void. And now also the Mars removed by themselves, reducing the potential of maybe some team fight on the side of PSG.LGD, even though PSG has got a lot of that already.
There's still IO too, or Phoenix.
Oh, Phoenix.
Yeah, we talked about this hero. They get it on the side of PSG.LGD. Kaori is a really solid Phoenix. Does Phoenix work well by herself, Faith Beyond, or does she need... or it needs, I don't even know. Does Phoenix need anything else to be played with?
I think for Quest, this post 5 pick should be Phoenix or Phoenix or Silencer, because they need some team fight. And I think Phoenix is a very good choice here. And now they need something like you can tank the team fight or you can protect the egg.
I think it's a mistake to not go Silencer for Quest. To take the Phoenix and not pick the Silencer here makes their game hard because you're already playing against Snapfire as Phoenix. And the Silencer would have done a lot for you. Like they could have just gone maybe Silencer plus Storm Spirit here, but now I don't know, I feel like Quest's teamfight is weaker than LGD's teamfight right now.
Yeah, but I think maybe just Kaori is better on this hero, so they won't pick it. Yeah.
So because it's his highest impact support left in the pool, you think it's better than Silencer?
Yeah, I mean, if he can buy hacks on 23 minutes again, that's definitely a better hero.
I see.
Yeah, it could be good. Like you said, Snapfire is good against Phoenix. That's because of the egg with Lil Shredder. It's not something we see super often lately because Phoenix isn't as picked as your Undynes, but yeah, that's definitely a worry. At least he can get some separation, but they also have pretty darn good egg hitters other than that. Like Silencer can maybe help, Void can definitely attack fast, Beastmaster Aura for attack speed, so placing your egg well is going to be very, very important and something that weaker Phoenix players would certainly mess up in this game.
Yeah, the thing about Silencer versus Phoenix is that Phoenix as a hero naturally does not itemize well versus Silencer. Like, when you think about Phoenix, he doesn't buy very many items that are dispels are useful to his team in that sense. He's kind of like, I'll get my shard, I'll get either Hex, I could get a Refresher, but he's not the type of hero to buy a Lotus Orb in order to actually cast spells versus this Global Silence. Like, he doesn't have any natural dispels, which just makes it more difficult to actually use his spells effectively. And now you're going to have the vision from Hawk on the side of LGD, and you can jump this Phoenix early on. You can make sure that he doesn't have impact.
And even in lane, you can last word in which stops dive from giving you an escape too. So it's definitely a little spooky to play the hero here when it got counterpicked so fast. But TA against Void is pretty solid though. It's a ton of physical damage and a lot of minus armor that he struggles against. We've seen some TAs struggle against Snapfire in the mid lane too. It can go both ways though. But for now, Quest's lineup is a little bit different than some of their previous ones.
Yeah, they can decide on the very last second where they want to put everything, as there's a lot of flex still possible. They've been at the Batrider. It looks like we are looking for a hero for probably Planet, unless they still want to change their Snapfire to the position 4, which I doubt.
They can also still pick the Clockwork on Planet versus the Primal Beast. What do you think about that, Faithbian?
Yeah, Clockwork is a very good option here. Yeah.
What other options do you think that they can go for?
Maybe something can secure your lane. Maybe Disruptor or some strong lane hero, because Beastmaster is definitely a key point for their draft.
Hard to pick a support when you don't know exactly what you will be up against. Another hero that's still in the pool, even though there is Mirana there, but Enchantress is still there if they want to run a Beastmaster Edge lane, which is generally a pretty strong one to secure a Beastmaster's game with. And they have a lot of time to talk about this, by the way. I think, Faithbian, you mentioned in the previous game that they took a long time at the start of the draft. This time they've got like 1.5 minutes left in this for this final pick.
Yeah, they prepare for Snapfire, so they are very smooth in this draft.
I'm looking at Quest's draft, and I mentioned a lot of LGD strengths, but Quest draft does have strengths. We did talk about the Pulverize into Arrow combo that Quest do a lot of their two-man smokes around. We talked about Carry's strength as a Phoenix player. He's probably the best Phoenix player in this tournament. So maybe just off of the back of his skill, even against this Silencer and against the Snapfire, he can still find impact, and this TA should be able to flush for him.
Whoa.
That is the first Weaver of the tournament, if I'm correct, which I am.
That's what it says, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So is that Weaver
That's
support?
Yeah, I think it's support because it's very strong on lane. I think they just want secure the Beastmaster lane and play fast.
Very interesting. Another good egg hitter, obviously, because he's going to get double attack with Geminate. Bugs are decent. I'm surprised to see it. I don't really know what's specifically amazing about the hero in this
I think it's so cool.
Why? Tell me why.
I think it's so cool because this support is something we never see, but when I look at Weaver in this game, he doesn't have that many problems. They don't really have stuns to catch him. Like, if they do want to catch him, they're going to have to waste Pulverize on a support, which is something you don't want to do in the first place. So outside of him being really sneaky in these team fights, he gives such an early Roshan with his Beastmaster. Because of the armor reduction on the Swarm, they can play for a very, very early rush timing. So now they have armor reduction from Weaver and armor reduction from Snapfire. And that's just a very cool conceptual combination that we haven't seen in a long time because Weaver has sucked for such a long time.
Yeah.
But as far as Weaver games go, this is a really good one. He can also buy Aghanim Scepter later on in the game and have impact, regardless of what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, I think for the last pick, both teams, they have very clear strategy. Like LGD, they just need a lane hero. They have team fight, they have skirmish, they have everything push. They just need lane, secure the lane. And for Quest, they picked. I think this Tidehunter also very good because it gave them chance to come back in team fight. So I think now both teams get the hero they want, and I think it's a pretty even match.
Yeah,
matchup.
and now they have a way to jump on the Silencer, right? So that Phoenix can have impact. If Tide can get a blink and go ravage the backline, get the Silencer, then Phoenix can follow up with an egg. And it's going to look different because Tidehunter can protect the Phoenix from Snapfire. So the pick does round out Quest's draft nicely.
It makes their setup with Moran a little bit easier as well. Even just like Gush into Arrow in lane is going to make Omar's game a lot better. They can do Ravage into Arrow as well. And it still leaves Nubon a great hero for him with the Primal Beast. But like Mira pointed out, they do have weak disable. So killing some of the PSG.LGD heroes might be tough. And if Weaver just kind of always stays alive and keeps getting net worth, his impact might be really, really big in the late game.
Is there a pivotal point in this game that you look towards for a deciding moment?
I think both teams' drafts have decent potential at most phases of the game, but I really like Mir's point about taking Roche quickly for LGD. That's definitely a big advantage.
I always cheer for the more unusual draft, so I like LGD's draft more, but outside of the Weaver pick being cool, I think having the Primal Beast, the Beastmaster Roar versus TA is going to give them a solution to that hero later on, so it's going to be a matter of execution, but looking forward to watching this Weaver play out.
Yeah. I think key point is definitely mid and Beastmaster lane. Yeah.
Mid and the Beastmaster lane,
Yeah.
seeing how they do, and of course getting to see who has the better control over either one of the Roche pits, as that's going to be important as well per my panel. We're going to find out, will Quest be able to knock out PSG.LGD out of Riyadh Masters, or will we see a third game? Let's find out with Cap and SVG.
Some interesting choices in the draft once again as we head into Game 2 of PSG.LGD versus Quest. PSG.LGD opt for a support Weaver and a support duo with no stuns. Quest pick up the Phoenix into the Snapfire here. Avery, what do you make of it?
I don't know how much faith I have in this Weaver versus Mirana because that shard got changed. So for a lot of Dota, Mirana was one of the best answers to Weaver because you just give everybody global invisibility and it removes the bug.
Yeah.
And then they gave Weaver a shard that lets the bug latch onto heroes and see them through invis. And then they removed that shard to give him a mark off Sakuchi, which no one knows exists because no one plays this hero.
Yeah, I didn't even know that shard changed.
Yeah, so it kind of hurts this matchup again. That's the part I'm worried about here, is like how much impact is Mirana going to have on the team fights for the support Weaver to be able to actually get the bug latch onto heroes and let it stick there for increased duration. We'll see. I also am curious what items Planet decides to go. Like, does he go for the fast earn, try and snowball? Is it a Solar Crest Weaver? Is it some Ags later off of, I don't know, Drum or some fighting item? There's a lot of weird items you can buy on this hero. You can also just buy a bunch of stats and try and tank up. The hero does use blood grenades pretty well. I think that's an aspect that is pretty cool. Like, your level 2 is insanely strong with blood grenade into either the bug or the geminate, going all in on a core. Even on the lane, you can often get these cheeky kills. So if the Weaver explodes and he can snowball this game, there's not a lot of lockdown for him, and he might just pop off. At the same time, if it's a slow game for LG, which has kind of been their pace, then it might just fall down to, you know, Faceless Void Snapfire to carry, which I think is a lot more reliable than what they had last term in terms of Lish, Shrack, Spectre. So overall, their draft is a lot more well-rounded and just a lot better suited for the meta. I think they definitely found their footing in this game too, and they have a very solid chance to even out this series because I like what they're bringing to the table.
And they're already nothing to say. You could see he's trying to win this mid matchup nice and early. He was doing a pretty good job last game of his Leshrac, but ultimately it didn't pan out inside the game. But this is a matchup that I feel like you could win even harder if you're nothing to say. Snapfire versus Primal Beast, we've seen it a couple of times, though sometimes it does come down to rotations and who manages to get that, which there are some interesting synergies. I think Weaver's probably one of the heroes that could use the cookie a little bit better than most supports.
That is absolutely true. You also have the minus armor synergy between the Shredder and the Swarm in the late game. Like, if you get a big Swarm on these heroes and then you pop this Shredder Chrono in, they're just gone. There's no save for it, really. You have a Sunray, that's it. Sunray is going to be nice this game with the beefy frontliners and the Tide and the Primal. At a certain point, it will fall off to just the raw physical scale that LG are going to bring to the table. So if I'm Quest, I kind of want to speed this game up maybe a bit more than last time and not just rest on my laurels. You want to get some early Roshans in this game for the TA on the TA 2000, playing his signature hero up here. And you especially want to abuse that team fight around the pit. So you make LG fight you maybe when they don't have all their ults up, maybe when these points in the game are awkward for them, and just put that early Tide Hunter strength to use. Because at a certain point, Tide does just kind of die in Chrono, and that matchup feels awful.
Yeah.
But for a lot of the game, you can be tanky enough that you can just stand up there, especially if you get a fast aura on Malik. He should have a pretty good lane phase, I think. I don't think Faceless Void Silencer should ever kick the Tide completely out of this. Should have a good time. And of course, Omar on this Mirana, we saw him go ham yesterday. That could just be an X factor. You land some clutch arrows here. Can make all the difference.
TA 2000 put a lot under pressure, but they did get the easy camp pull out. Like your note of doing Roshan, because it does feel like PSG.LGD are well set to contest that Roshan as well. They've got a Beastmaster for the extra vision. Weaver is also a vision hero. They've got big team fight to play around the Roshan, and they can do Roshan themselves with the stacking minus armor that they have.
The air lineup is extremely well suited to take that an objective as well, especially with this Helm of the Dominator, which I assume is coming out for New this game. He has it queued up. This is a pretty good Helm of the Overlord game. Nothing to really eat the creep, nothing to deal with it in the fights. It's kind of a lot of just chunky damage from Quest.
Look at Planet just straight up ignoring Kaori because he really wants to kill in the TA-2000. That would be a beautiful first blood to get, and they've got it. New slice him down with the axes.
Lane dominance from the Weaver. This is basically what the pick was designed to do, abuse the Phoenix in this matchup. It's a really tough matchup for Phoenix because once you commit the spirits, you Sakuchi away, and then all of a sudden you have so much free time on the lane, as well as helping kill the egg later on. Planet making it work. I think the other pick they could have gone here was Skywrath Mage that they were considering because you have so much setup for the ult.
Sure.
Weaver's definitely equally strong on lane and can snowball the map very hard. This is a hero that if you're not used to playing Versit and you start feeding him kills with these blood grenades and maybe a fast early item, this Weaver is a really strong ganker, and already they are putting more pressure on.
Oh, wow, look at this rotation. Why you smile. He comes to the safe lane to see if they can kill TA-2000, and if they did, he'd have to do the walk of shame back out to lane. But even if they don't get the kill, they're going to kill Kaori.
We got the Salve cancel?
He gets the Salve cancel, and he's going to be able to get away. And TA-2000 is very likely still to die here. He's going to fight for his life, try and get a kill out of this one. The Primal Beast will show up. Doesn't even have his Onslaught up just yet. Why you smile? Desperately trying to go through it, and he does manage to get the kill first. Noob will get something out of this, but think about how much CS just got lost. Think about the Templar Assassin, whose TP is still on cooldown for another 15 seconds. What a big blow that PSG.LGD managed to put into this laning phase.
And the TAs are objective takers, so the more the TA-2000 falls behind here, it's just going to slow everything down from Quest. That's also a difficult TP for Noob to make. It really hurts his game. He's going to have to walk back towards mid. NTS has free waves here, free tower damage. The freest game he's perhaps had all tournament. He's going to see a TA go to his lane and go, what?
Okay, so a level 5 Snapfire versus a level 3 TA.
Yeah, not a fair matchup. However, I guess this is faster than TA-2000 going back top in a lane where he maybe isn't confident to stand there. Man, this Phoenix TA really got opened up by this Weaver pick. Just not strong enough on the lane. And finally, LGD making something happen in the laning phase, right? Something we've been asking for from this team.
Yes.
They devoted a pick to it. It has worked out, and all of a sudden this game is just looking a lot better for them.
Yeah, didn't I say in game one that I felt like, you know, I was all in whenever PSG.LGD actually win the laning phase?
Are you
it
already all in?
so rarely. I kind of am, yeah. Though surprisingly, how are they not up more in net worth?
Well, their Faceless Void on the safe lane is also not getting a lot out of this matchup. Malik has played it damn well here, anchor smashing and denying creeps. Shiro only with 23 CS. His net worth is pretty low. However, I think it's, you know, it's one of those games like last time, Spectre, Faceless Void, you're okay if the game's a little slow. You can even go back for a Midas if he's really feeling it, which is, looks like will be the ticket here.
Make or break moment. Power rune goes to Noob. He gets a regen rune. I think if the Snapfire, nothing to say, manages to pick up some important rune, a haste rune, double damage or something like that, that could very easily lead to either more side lane domination or him taking the mid tower and getting a kill.
I mean, look at these Radiant Wards that Planet just got up. They're going to see TA-2000 in this jungle. They are going to continue to hunt him. And if they don't find him, they're just going to start pushing the towers because Hell of the Dominator's already up. Another easy gank on the Phoenix due to the silencer interactions. This is going to spiral very fast for LGD as Rally is going to clear through these tier 1s. Your Weaver is going to join every fight, contribute a crap ton of early damage. Not a lot of space to operate for the TA already, and we're only 7 minutes in.
If you've never seen that interaction before, Phoenix versus Silencer. A Silencer, when you put last word on Phoenix, he can no longer use Icarus Dive because if he does, he's silenced and can't stop Icarus Dive, so he'll just return to where he started. So it's a rough interaction for the Phoenix, especially when you're trying to get away. Nice gank on mid. Snapfire does die, but it's going to cost them very likely their Wisdom runes as theirs is already stolen away and nobody is in position to take the other one.
Well worth it for Quest. They will take that trade because it's a regen route on Noob, so he'll get all his resources back, and it's a pretty high-level Snapfire they're taking off the map. Pressure from New is going to be very strong, however. That's the one thing Quest are going to have to answer. If this Beastmaster decides to make the backstab rotation into mid, are you bringing the Tidehunter to combat that fight? Are you willing to commit everybody else as well? They're going to find Weaver might just be able to burst him here.
Yeah, they got it. With the pulverized arrow combination, that's just going to be something that's constantly going through.
Still found the Phoenix on the other end, +2 int as Glaives are now online. and the backstab is coming. So you have the opportunity to TP the Tidehunter in here and try and stop this push. You do have Ravage up. It's just going to be a very heavy committal, and if you lose that fight, you lose it doubly as hard. Double damage stolen away, and being on a Primal Beast is pretty damn nice here for Quest. And LGD going to TP the Weaver bottom, so they're trying to defend and push at the same time. This is a little greedy. However, I guess the Skeletons just got the job done.
See if he can get the deny, maybe. And he does. Kaori picks that one up. New, I guess, really not fishing for the last hit too heavily. Just wants to take the tower off the map.
I think you actually kind of wanted the tower gold here. Noob has found a lot during this interval. Pushed himself to the top of the board here, just pulling waves, finding the 2 big kills as well. And now double damage is going to set him up really nicely for the next fight. Pushes Noob back to his own triangle as well. Like, he's not staying in the enemy side of the map. You're not getting deep vision out. You're not setting yourself up for this TA kill that I think could be happening right now if your Beastmaster were in this area on this ward with the Weaver.
Yeah, not taking advantage of what you picked in the Weaver, right? You played this hero that is going to be able to sit aggressively on the enemy side of the map, get this really deep vision down.
They're going to smoke to it instead. I think this play is kind of making up for the fact the Beast didn't stay here. Pretty much a forced play from LG. It's still going to be very good in the end, as they should find him easily here.
Yeah, very easily.
That's a pull TP, considering there's a cookie. Did not work out. 2 more ints stolen. A nice kill. All 5 heroes for LGD on the upside of this map. Midas done for Shiro. So they're all cruising here. Just a question of, can you stay on the enemy side of the map and take advantage of the Beastmaster vision and continue to push your advantage? That's what I would like to see from the 4 heroes on LGD outside of the Faceless Void. Let Shiro join the fights at the end. If they commit everybody, a roar onto a Phoenix will yield
Sentry under tower, Sentry behind the tower. There's that last word interaction. Sorry, Phoenix.
And that's earn charges for Planet, so he's fully online now.
Big pickup, nothing to say though. He's gonna get run down underneath his own tower. Noob picks up another big kill. This is helping him cruise along to his BKB, which will help stop this PSG.LGD domination kills in this early game.
They don't have an answer for this Primal right now. 4-0 on Noob. He is really keeping Quest in this early game, as it's going to be a long road to recovery for the Templar Assassin. The Primal will take up the burden here, level 9 as well. He's found a lot off those 2 Snapfire kills. Slowing down the tempo here for LGD while boosting Quest's own. Good runes, almost BKB online already. He is going to be hard to deal with in these early fights. Don't have a lot of damage to throw into him through that BKB. Unless you're willing to commit like Roar and Chrono and have everybody hitting him. Even then, I don't know if he dies. But once more, LGD forced to their side of the map in a game where I think they'd rather be playing very aggressively here. One thing you can't let happen is...
Ooh.
Okay.
All right. An immediate Ravage coming out. Malik really not wanting to die.
Yeah, I don't know. That was a little too defensive for my taste. Nonetheless, Quest happy to farm up during that period without losing anybody. Kaori getting run down here.
He's baiting it a bit. Noob's gonna come in, try and get the kill, but Planet gets off his time lapse before he gets hit by the onslaught.
This is one of the things you want to make sure happens. Do not let Kaori just sit up here with the Phoenix and farm to a Hex like we've seen in some of those other games. Like that is just an illegal move. You need to prohibit here if you're LGD, especially with a Beastmaster Weaver lineup here where you're contesting that Roshan potentially at a Radiant time period, or on a dire time period, sorry. If you're looking at this 15 to 20 minute mark, which is where that Helm of the Overlord should come out for New, it means getting this top lane in, maintaining vision control up there, and not letting Quest sit around that area will open up the Rosh later on, which right now should be yours to take based on where the TA is. That objective is just out of the question for Quest as far in terms of, you don't have the Deso up yet, you don't have anything. Okay,
that was a hammer.
That was a hammer of many hammers we have seen. Still looking for the BKB on Noob. It will be completed off the courier, so this could prompt a smoke from Quest or a Mirana ulti.
It's time.
Use Mirana ult.
It's time to hit that Chronosphere Kisses combo, but Quest are going to be set up first here with the Moonlight Shadow. It's Dusk going to break. Rod of Atos, but he's got both an Illusion Rune and a BKB. PSG.LGD wisely do not go on Noob. He is the last person they can go for.
Yeah, they don't have kisses either. They saw that Mirana ult off a Hawk on the triangle. So at least they'll be able to counteract that play with the dust. They know exactly where Noob is. He does not get that gank off the instant PKB timing. Instead, Shiro will farm up his illusions. Map did get collapsed for LGD in the last few minutes here, though. Like, you look at where they are on the map, it's very defensive considering how much they were snowballing off that beast lane. Not confident enough to stay out on the map.
Yeah, once again, Mew taking a step back to hit some Ancients, so maybe focus more on a later timing than trying to constrict the map as much as possible.
And here you have two LGD supports trying to force the Phoenix out of here, who has found more levels than both of them. I don't know, this map play just feels off from LGD. I don't think they're getting enough out of what the early game looked like, and now this is kind of Quest playstyle. Like, they're recovering pretty fast on the TA. They have the fighting arms on the two big bruisers. This Roshan that I thought was going to be LGD's is looking a bit more iffy now, because the team fight is just coming online for Quest. And they're going to have auras. You have a Helm of the Overlord done for you. Okay, this is something you got to get more map control off of. Black Dragon already up, running behind Noob mid here. You have to be a little careful. Oh, he's going to find another haste rune.
He's got a haste rune. Yeah, that's pretty nice.
And this guy's rune RNG has been quite good here.
Just soft pokes all around. Planet trying to kick Kaori out of top. He's trying to push TA 2000 back to the Ancients, but ultimately it's not stopping Quest from what they want to do, which is let Noob set all the pace, and everybody else is getting farm. As you said, they're going to get some really big team fight items.
And it's another smoke by LGD that is not going to connect here, as they don't find anybody in this triangle. Man, I feel for Planet in this game. He's been running around trying to find anything. It's just he doesn't have a core that can connect onto him that fast. He will finally find a target in the Templar Assassin here.
So down, New's going to be able to hit the Primal Roar. Now they're between a Tier 1, Tier 2, and the Ravage is going to go off, hitting all four of them. They turn around with the hammer. Shiro's going to get a little bit low, but he got off the Chronosphere. He'll finish off that Templar Assassin and try and jump away with a Time Walk. He's good for now, unless the arrow lands. Omar can't quite get that. Starstorm at a couple of shots. That is enough. Omar chases him down, and they get carry for carry.
So many ults used for LGD to get a TA and lose their own, and you have Noob in the back. He might want to look here. Knows there's no Roar, knows there's no Global. I think if that Global goes off before the Ravage, that looks a bit stronger for LGD. Instead, it ends up costing their Faceless Void his life. As Kaori remained top this entire time, so you're still getting some farm from that.
What a Ravage, though.
Woo! Yeah, this is pretty clutch. It ends up resulting in the Void kill, because you just get so much damage on Shiro. He has to commit during this time period. And then you stack the Global and the Chrono as well for LGD. Not entirely optimal here, right?
Yeah.
That's why I need a quick break. Maybe Global silenced his own PC.
Maybe they're talking too much trash. Why didn't you Global silence earlier? So just muted everybody.
But hey, that's a quick little pause here, which means time for some lore trivia.
Oh, good. We haven't gotten any lore this tournament.
That's right, just when you thought it wasn't there. Do you, Austin Walsh, know Faceless Void's name?
No, I do not.
Dark Terror.
Oh, okay.
That's right.
I do
Now,
remember
do you
that
know
now.
where he hails from in the nether regions of beyond time and space?
I assume like the Void Realm?
Yes, do you know the name?
I do not.
Clashurine.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
From the god Clash. And do you know that Faceless Void did indeed potentially used to have eyes, but he sacrificed his own eyes to his god in order to appease him. So technically, he did have a face.
Okay.
So
he gave them up for what?
Yeah, it is rumored that he sacrificed his eyes to appease his god.
But he didn't get any power for it?
No.
Got nothing back?
No. I mean, that's what happens when you appease a god. So they should call him.
I mean, he doesn't have any eye sockets.
He's
either,
only
though.
recently Faceless Void. Or maybe they once had a Face Void. Now, last trivia fact here.
Okay.
There's a cosmetic in the game for Faceless Void where he has the head bindings. Are you familiar with that one?
The head bindings?
Yes. The wrappings on his head.
Okay. I don't really know that, but go on.
Do you know why that is?
Is it some sort of prayer or appeasement to his god?
No.
No?
You got baited. Get wrecked, son.
What's the point?
Because Faceless Void is jealous of Darkseer's pointed skull. and he attempted to bind his own into a similar shape, but
No
failed
way.
horrendously. Yes.
What?
There is something they say about purple heroes. They are all envious, and that holds true in Dota as well.
So in the Dota universe, it's not green with envy, it's purple with
Exactly. So
I
next time
see.
you look at the Dark Terror or the Faceless Void that once had potentially a part of a face, remember that even partial demigods who are above space and time can fall to the littlest of vanities. And you know what? That strikes my heart, because I think we've all been there as humans.
Yeah.
We all say, you know, there's things that I'm jealous of in life. There's things that I wish I could do better.
Yeah.
I think you, for example, have definitely encountered that in your casting career. And so sometimes we can look,
what you know, go on. What do you mean?
sometimes we can look to the heroes in Dota 2 to inspire us to be better. And sometimes they fall short.
I don't know. Faceless Void is pretty strong. I feel. Why don't I just be like him? Why don't I just become an envious monster?
The point of the story is that we all have flaws, Cap.
I see.
Actually, I don't
He's
know what-
already got a weird skull.
That's why it's
Why
funny.
does he want it to be pointed?
I don't know.
Also, he doesn't have eyes, so like. He's falling into
Well,
the
don't
trappings
don't
of like what you
eye-shame
look
him.
like, but he can't even look.
Why are you eye shaming him?
Listen, I can't eye shame him because he freely gave them up.
Rumored. Unconfirmed rumor.
Also, who's his god?
Clash.
The Klazarine whatever realm and
yeah.
Klazarine are like both.
Yeah.
Okay, that's just his realm.
Yeah.
Who is he?
Oh, I don't know. what are you asking me? I don't know.
Why
this
isn't
shit.
he in the Dota game instead of
Ask
his
Slacks, man.
acolyte, Faceless Void?
Anyway, there's your lore lesson for the day, and we're perfectly back in the game. It's almost as if it was timed to a T for the Faceless Void.
Yeah, the truth is that Avery actually pays off production
That's
to
unconfirmed.
have pauses so he can talk about lore.
That's also unconfirmed. What actually happened?
We had a slight audio issue, but we are back into the game now, so hopefully we'll get some game sounds as we are headed into the middle of Game 2 of Quest versus PSG.LGD. Quest not only up in the series, but also up in Game 2, despite the fact that PSG.LGD seemed to get a lot of momentum in the early game. It has fallen a bit by the wayside, as maybe perhaps some of it is just the fact that they don't have the easiest supports and cores to make plays with, that they feel a little bit lost.
It's just not synced up. They don't have a big like jump core to play with the Weaver when he's finding people or start the fights with Global behind it. I think that's been some of the issue for LGD. And the Beastmaster didn't play as aggressively as I would have wanted, but he still has a very nice timing on the Helm of the Overlord here. So as long as LGD can get something good done with that, I think they'll be happy during this period. However, Noob is continuing his rampage.
Oh, not quite there. Time lapse goes off just in time, and Planet gets some much-needed space, I think, for PSG.LGD, perhaps to make a move here. Kaori gonna be hit with the last word, but they're behind the tier 2. Malik knows it too. He's trying to get some vision with the Hammer. He almost got the Beastmaster. He'll slow down while you smile, and they'll probably pick up that kill. He does have 12 magic wand charges if he really wants to try for this one. He's given a little helping hand there with the cookie. And a Scatter Blast to slow down Malik. He's good to go.
I mean, the thing is, they found plan to eventually bottom. It's a lot more gold for Omar. These two Quest supports are getting a lot out of the map right now, and LGD continuing to find nothing off the momentum the Planet built early. Maybe wishing they could time-lapse part of this game back in the last 3 or 4 minutes here.
Yeah.
Get a bit more done with this Helm of the Overlord.
Oh, and while you smile, not only did they catch Planet, but while you smile is still gonna die. Moonlight Shadow allows Malik to catch up.
It's almost getting to the point where I just say go into Roche, right? Like, just do something together as a team and get it done with the objective-taking capability you have here.
Yeah, do something productive with your life.
You're losing too much on the map. If you lose the Faceless Void, oh, LGD, you are giving up a lot during this period. A hell of a lot. Maybe you can find Kaori here.
He's gonna use Supernova. He does have Malik to help him, but okay, you've used Supernova. You got Time Lapse out of Planet. One spell is a lot more valuable than the other.
It's also just the timing of when these items are coming out. Like, you had an advantage with this Helm of the Overlord before the Tide got to his second item after the Hammer. Grease is up for Malik now. So, if you're Quest, are you even afraid of taking the 5-on-5s? I don't think you are, especially with how much TA2000 has recovered. He has Deso up. He has an Orb of Destruction. time to put some minus armor to work and maybe just commit for the Roche yourselves here if you're Quest.
Oh, wow, that was brutal.
They just got everything.
Killed both Boars and the Black Dragon. That is over 300 gold, a healthy amount of experience, and a big loss in tempo for PSG.LGD as the Beastmaster is going to have to go back, find some fresh Ancients. And they're also going to deny their own offlane tower here, which does lose them a bit more control of the Roshan pit.
And once more, it's just Planet trying to force some sort of fight here. The minus armor synergy has come online for Quest as well. We saw that Solar Crest finish for Omar. That is 7 armor removed. You throw a Gush in there for 4 or 5 more. You have a Meld hit for another 8. Then you have a Deso hitting for another 6. Then you have an Orb of Destruction hitting for another 3.
All right. It's all pretty good. Sounds sick if you could do Roche.
Yeah, if you can do Roche, you'd be real happy about all that minus armor. However, LGD eventually claim it here. I think this should have happened a couple minutes ago. Maybe giving them some more breathing room on the map. Still, they will eventually get it, take it away from that TA, which is maybe more important than the first one for them. And they'll get an Aegis on a Faceless Void who was getting picked off on the map. They'll trade it for a tier 2 in Quest and a Blink Dagger on their Tidehunter. Initiation power online for Quest here.
The problem I see with this is that it's just still more map control, unless PSG.LGD can actually use the Aegis to take a tier 2 of their own. Otherwise, they just lose control of the outpost bottom. Bottom lane's also going to be pushed in constantly.
That's a big question. Can you maintain at least equal map efficiency right now for Quest? So far, it's just not been the case for LGD. They're just getting out-farmed by all 3 cores, including the 2 supports as well. Once again, this is a game where Kaori has just sat top with Phoenix and nobody's done anything to him, and he's just farming a Hex. He will eventually have this Hex. It's honestly not that far away, 2K. I don't know. I mean, somebody punish this guy. How does he keep getting away with it?
He's level 12, man. He also hasn't had to use Supernova in like a big fight. He used it that one time, I think, for the Weaver. Other than that, it's just been like, okay, whatever.
He'll get another Wisdom Rune to push him to 13 as Planet unable to outclick him there. Yeah, that's the other thing. If you were forcing the fights as LG, then maybe Kaori feels pressure to go to the fight, or you get like a 5-on-4 without the Phoenix Egg, right? Yeah. That's another way you can take advantage of the fact he wants to sit top. But if nothing's happening, okay, well then he's not getting ganked and he doesn't have to go to a fight. He's just free farming a Hex here.
And if he's forced to use them early on in fights, then Lil Shredder can 100-0 him.
Exactly.
But if you are stalling this game out, you're getting the higher and higher levels on Supernova. He's already up to 8 attacks to destroy that Supernova. Now Snapfire can no longer one-shot it. He's going to require the Weaver to be able to, who can get the extra hit in or 2 with the Geminate's attacks. But it's like, you know, this is becoming more and more difficult. They have to put more resources into this Phoenix, who maybe never really should have been an issue.
Something about the map is a little off for LG right now. Maybe it's the vision that Quest are proposing here. They have a Tide who can frontline.
Nothing to take. Gets on the BKB. Global Silence immediately is the response as well. They get off the Pulverize, though, grabbing him. But the TA with the double damage can't quite do enough damage with the Ravage. Catches them in the end. Malik times it beautifully. Supernova goes out as well. Quest will protect themselves as they dive in deep past the tier 2. There is Shiro up here on the high ground. Primal Roar goes out. They're going to be able to breathe down this Primal Beast. Noob, a little bit too aggressive here, but watch out for that double damage. TA2000 is still rocking, and he's taking away the Aegis from the Faceless Void.
He almost killed you off the side blades there on the Golem. The creep betraying the Master here. An okay turnaround for LGD. At least they're getting some farm on the Faceless Void, who contributes to the fight with the Aegis. And a nice Primal Beast kill, because that was a streak. So that's like a 1,100 gold kill here on Noob. Very valuable for LGD.
Yeah, it would have been a perfectly fine fight if Noob didn't so boldly go to this high ground.
It was a little greedy here, considering he doesn't have a BKB to pop in. There's no Ravage, right? He used it earlier. Still, there was some pretty good bashes there by Shiro. I don't know if he should die instantly like that. Nonetheless, LGD find a little bit of turnaround. Gain some momentum back for their Beastmaster. Not enough right now to gain more on the map, however, enough to stall the pressure that was building. Still a 3rd death for NTS without him getting to contribute in the fight. It's been a very lackluster game from the LGD mid here, 1-3-0. I mean, he's been involved in 1 kill in 24 minutes with perhaps the premier mid of the tournament. Something's not clicking. And it continues to be a struggle for LGD to stay even in this game.
Yeah, I would have to say that's got to be, I wouldn't put it all on him. It's got to be something to do with the synergy with the supports as well. Because they did make a lot of rotations, but they were rotating to the side lanes, right?
There was not a lot of priority given into him. He also got ganked a couple times by Primal plus supports.
Yeah, exactly.
There wasn't really help to bail him out. They'll get a tier 2. BKB is being finished here for LGD on the faces going the Beastmaster as well. That's going to really help him take this fight. You eliminate a lot of the damage coming out from Quest in this Ravage, the Primal Beast, the Phoenix. If you get those off first, you're going to be really happy. That's one of the big questions about this game, however, is do you get your spells off first, or do Quest just get the start on you with this Moonlight Shadow that has been very problematic for LGD so far? It's a mechanism that bypasses their own vision in the Beastmaster Hawks and this Weaver trying to scout. An aggressive enemy triangle. Haste Rune on Noob as well as his Rune escapades continue. And they're going to get another Golem creep off mid. It's like the third or fourth Helm of the Overlord creep getting fed away here.
Yeah.
How much gold has been killed off the summons? Not the beetle.
Thank you, production.
Why is a beetle thing even a... You know how long they've been waiting to use beetles kill gold? Nobody plays Weaver.
Malik uses another defensive Ravage, though this time he is definitely going to be paying the Butcher's bill as the Chronosphere is going to ensure the kill. It looked to lock down TA 2000 as well, but TA was fast enough to blink away. He does not get caught.
Quest want to try and get something out of that. Hex completed for Cowrie here, so they have some big lockdown coming out of the Phoenix off a dive. That's going to be really annoying for the Weaver here. Even the Faceless Void might just come out of nowhere. Still, he gave up a Ravage and a Tidehunter for nothing. I think Shiro's happy with the end result, even if he doesn't catch T2000 in that chrono. It's a pretty fast Hex. I mean, I would still be very curious to know how much gold has been claimed off summons in this game. I'm done. That's the last time I ever asked for anything. I'm never asking production for anything again. Congrats, you won. You won. You feel good about yourselves?
I mean, are you keeping track? They're pulling up all of the summons. So we're going to add them all up together.
Don't know the Helm of the Overlord does, huh? That would be an interesting stat to have.
What, total summon?
Gold? Including the Helm of Dawn creeps and stuff, yeah.
Planet doesn't have time left, so he's dead. Gets burned up in the fire and flames of the Phoenix. Why You Smile, Primal Roar trying to get it off. Finally goes down. Why You Smile could still die, but Noob very likely doesn't want to blow any resources to be diving perilously close to a tier 2 tower. So, calling quits there. One thing I had noticed about this Primal Beast pickup for Quest.
It's another Helm of the Overlord.
Oh my god, that's like 4 of them. That's that'd be 1,000 gold if it's 4.
Not like this, man. That's at least the 4th, maybe the 5th. I feel like Quest have gotten more out of this Helm of the Overlord than LGD have.
Yeah, considering they picked it up and didn't do anything with it initially, yeah, I would hazard a guess that this Helm of the Overlord has perhaps been more of a detriment than a boon. Total of 800 gold was acquired by Quest, killing poor little innocent animals such as the ancient black dragon.
800? How's that possible? Aren't they each worth 250?
Hamadam is 150. So maybe it was 2 Helma Overlords, 2 Hamadams.
There's been way more than 2 Helm of the Overlord creeps. I've seen at least 3.
Are you saying they're lying to you?
I fight fake news. Yes.
This might or might not have been accurate.
For once, I was right.
Oh, there's going to be that side device reveal. It was a heavy commitment. I mean, certainly the Supernova not needed, but then again, has the Supernova been needed in any of these fights in Quest?
And it's more about, is there going to be a global out there? Is there going to be a chrono? You don't know where that counter initiation is going to come from.
Gush in a Meteor Hammer hits Neo. He actually uses his BKB out of pure fear.
And there's building an Ags on the tide here. I like this Ags pickup. This is going to be really nice. You just throw it in the fight. It's something where you can play the outskirts. You don't have to commit. And you're still helping TA2000 go in off these meld strikes with the minus armor synergy, right? And then all of a sudden you put LGD in a position where it's like, Do I want a global right now? Do I want a Chrono right now? It becomes pretty awkward.
Oh, Axe Titan. Now we got the Gush just splashing around. That's pretty cool.
I hate everybody that I work with, just for the record. Everybody except production. Production are all amazing.
Production, you pull up the Home of the Overlord gold stat being given away. I'd love to be able to see that.
Oh, Ravage!
7,000 net worth lead for Quest, and they go for the kill on to Shiro. Heavy commitment once again. Ravage, Pulverize, but a Global Silence and a BKB helps Shiro get out. He did have to use Chronosphere defensively, though.
That did not feel good for Shiro at all. Also, looking at this Primal Beast with a heart completed. Man, he has upped the strength here in the last few minutes. 3,600 HP. Can throw a Solar Crest on top of him as well. Maybe someone's Anchor Smash.
We talk about, oh, the TA trap. Is Pulverize going to come back up in time? It is not.
Got the Dust, though.
Dust post-time lapse. Still keeping the vision. They got the Scythe on him, and now the Pulverize is up. Now we'll grab him, pound him into the ground.
This Hex has already paid off for Kaori, and this is just LGD giving that Phoenix too much space. Time and time again, he has been able to get here, and if you allow it to happen, you are gonna get punished very hard. Meteor Hammer striking bottom as well. You gotta remember, there's no Chrono up right now, so Quest are kind of just running the map. LGD are continuing to find farm. The lead has not grown.
Oh no, he's gonna time lock into a TA trap, into a Scythe. TA 2000 is gonna blow apart Shiro.
Those are not your ancients to take, my friend. Kaori is laughing all the way to the bank here.
PSG.LGD are making just 0 moves and getting picked apart around the map. Are they confident that they're gonna win late game?
Not at this rate, man. I don't know. It feels like they've been off today. What? I'm not even sure what they're kind of playing for here. Is it just the ultra late with Snap Void?
It's just kind of what it seems like. It seems like they're just defaulting to these two heroes scale, so we'll win. But frankly, with the way this is going, Quest may have too much of a lead to surmount. As Noob dives in a bit, but he's got heart and he's got BKB, so he can put himself in the frontline situations like this. It'll still lead to building damage from TA 2000.
With the clip out, you have to wait for Faceless Void to fight this if you're LGD. You don't have any damage without that Mjolnir. Still looking for the Faceless Void level 20 talent as well. That is a free lane of racks off a single Hex death on Dark Terror here. That's all it takes. Mew has been pushed into a rat roll. Man, he had such a good start in this game, and it just didn't translate into anything. I feel like they wish they had the Mirana in this game to be able to play behind the beast, look for the kills, play on the map with the invis.
Yeah.
Instead, Omar has really thwarted a lot of the moves that they wanted to make.
A little bit more kill threat too, Primal Roar arrow combo.
Now it's just gonna have to come down to the core synergy. AC picked up for New. That's a pretty big item here.
Wrapping around here with the...
They find the Phoenix first.
Smoke here.
They got scanned. What a heads up scan. It's gonna push Kaori farther to the right as he dodges this.
The Hawk might still be able to spot him though. Oh, the dive away.
That is such a clutch scan. You might just lose your Phoenix there and you lose Roche. Instead, he gets back to the team. And now LGD are in a position where you have another smoke to re-up here.
We've seen this so many times. The smoke for smoke, they give up their high ground, getting away from the Hawk vision, wrapping around behind PSG.LGD.
Are LGD ready for this? They have a really good Hawk.
Look at why you Smiles position. This is pretty crazy. One smoke is gonna break. It's gonna be Noob. Malik, he's gonna jump forward, instantly Ravage, and he got him clumped up. Beautiful stuff. Quest in one bold move from Malik instantly wins the fight. They'll get 3 off of that one. They'll get Roshan off of that one, and that might just be the game closer move right there.
It's going to be another base push with Aegis Cheese for sure here out from Quest as Malik sees the opening, seizes it, and puts LGD in a quick grave. Shiro is just outside that tree line. A simple little mistake costs LGD big time as they present an opening, not playing in the trees around their Hawks when they know this smoke flank is coming. It just feels, I don't want to say lazy, but not disciplined, for sure.
Need to be a little bit more disciplined in your positioning.
Yes,
it's so important in these Roshan.
These little things matter a lot, and you gave a really big opening, instantly seized. Some quick math.
A lot of HP, a lot of armor. Minus armor, though, so it's effective HP with minus armor. Oh, wow.
That's pretty interesting. 60% reduction in his HP pool.
Yeah, we saw it in that last fight. He popped BKB, he went for the TP out, couldn't make it in that window of time. TA 2000 plus the extra minus armor from his other supporting heroes.
It's a lot of math to say he died very fast.
Yeah.
And a refresher for the Phoenix? Did I see that right? My God. This is what happens, man.
How does Kaori get away with this, man? I wish I could play Phoenix like this.
Yeah,
chill out, do
too,
nothing
man.
but farm for like 30 minutes.
I show top on away for 3 seconds. There's 8 heroes through a gate with a relocate on my ass and sends me to the nether realm. This guy just got to chill the whole game. And he is huge now, man. He's almost on NTS's net worth, who will finish a silver edge here, so the damage is starting to pick up. He's just missing the level 20 talent. The XP is a big problem for LGD, as they are 13 levels behind, and it shows. None of their cores have the level 20 talent, whereas 2 for Quest already have it online.
They may never get the chance to.
They might not.
Malik
Hex
strikes
deleted
again,
out.
side, and there goes Dark Terror.
No respect.
New
for
trying
the
to make it out,
initiation.
but even he gets grabbed by the pulverize during his BKB. Why you smile? Force staff trying to get him out, but he falls as well. Everybody is
Another
dying,
hex.
trying to retreat, and they do not have buybacks. No level 20s, no buybacks, and no more Riyadh Masters for PSG.LGD. They get 2-0. Quest will claim victory here on the big stage.
That is not the tournament I think a lot of people were expecting from LGD. However, this is a run that you need to expect from Quest, as they are continuing to show up on these big LAN events in a very short time interval. This team continues to impress, especially T2000, especially Kaori on this Phoenix. At this point, do you want to give it to him? If you do, you need to prioritize it. And LGD, they just look shook today, man. Nothing was clicking for them. They're going to end up just going quietly into the night here. A very muted game, too. Not a lot of action happening, not a lot of comeback potential, not respecting the initiation power here from Shiro. 2 big mistakes in these last 2 fights, giving a huge opening off the Ravage and a second one off the Hex. There's no save in this lineup. Once you're stuck there, Global is not bailing you out this far into the game.
And 2 times now where Quest has been knocked down into the lower bracket and has run into PSG.LGD, who are attempting a lower bracket run, and immediately 2-0 them. History repeats itself here at the Riyadh Masters as they do the exact same thing to PSG.LGD they did at the Bali Major.
Back to the drawing board, absolutely, here, as we felt like the Chinese scene was making a resurgence, especially with 3 in the top 8 at Bali, and they were looking good at the start here, but Extreme get eliminated, LGD get eliminated at the bottom of this bracket, and Aster get dropped down. All of a sudden, European Dota back on top here, as Eastern Europe especially is pulling out all the moves, and Quest picking up a mixture of all the regions, proving that they are still dominant even with the off-laner replacement. And this is a scary team to play in the lower bracket, because you know they're going to get the heroes they want, right? Yeah. They're going to get something out of like this.
Whether it's the new Snapfire, it's the Kaori Phoenix.
Yeah, they're finding their comfort picks here. I feel like the comfort picks were the supports more than the cores that everybody's afraid of. They're thinking about T2000, they're thinking about Noob and Malik. Kaori and Omar get the Phoenix and the Potom here. It's another perfect game from Omar, and 2-0-14 on the Potom, his signature hero for me at this point, and looking damn impressive.
Damn impressive indeed. Quest managed to get the 2-0 over PSG.LGD, so let's head to the interview with Tsunami.
Thank you very much. Yes, I'm standing by with Noob of Quest, which is now the second opportunity that I've gotten to speak with you, because you started this tournament off on the stage with a win, and here you're continuing that trend, and specifically against LGD. You guys did work against them in Bali. I remember the game 1 was like a 19-minute GG. Here, yet again, what is it that you guys have against this team, it seems?
I think our heroes go well against theirs, and we have like similar heroes, like Primal. They play it a lot, we play it a lot. We're banning Timber, and we just play with Primal, and it's going well.
معانا شباب زي ما تشوفون في المسرح أحد لاعبين كويست اي سبورتس بعد ما قدروا إنهم يطلعون الرينينج تشامبيونز لرياض ماسترز. طبعا عمر كان سألناه السؤال الأول نتكلم عن وش اللي صار في الجيم اللي يخليكم دائما تقدرون تفوزون على PSG.LGD، لأنه آخر مرة شفناهم يتواجهون ضد بعض كان في البالي ميجر، وبرضه قدروا إنهم يفوزون عليهم والجيم كان جدا سريع. على أي أساس قدرتوا أنكم دائما تفوزون على الفريق هذا؟ كان الجواب فقط يتكلم على أنه حنا عارفين وشلون هم يلعبون، عندنا سيميلاريتيز أكثر في البلاي ستايل، كنا نلعب نفس الطريقة، نلعب بنفس المستوى، والشيء هذا يخلينا نفهمهم أكثر ونقدر نفوز عليهم.
This has been a grueling run for you so far, Noob. You went through play-ins, you went through group stage, and now you're making it through lower bracket. How's your stamina going right now? How are you feeling?
We're a bit tired. We expected to win against Talon, but now we have to go through the long run, and let's hope we do it. Let's go.
سألنا أيضا السؤال الثاني نتكلم عن الرن اللي مشوا فيه فريق كويست اي سبورتس إلى اللحظة هذه في رياض ماسترز. زي ما احنا عارفين هم لعبوا البلاين، هم لعبوا الجروب ستيج، وصلوا أيضا إلى البلاي أوفز، وإلى الآن مستمرين، لعبوا حوالي 28 جيم إلى اللحظة هذه. فكيف الاستامينا عندهم؟ كان يقول إنه بصراحة يعني أخذنا مشوار طويل لما وصلنا للحظة هذه، لكن بنفس الوقت يعني لازم إننا نكمل مشوارنا.
It's strange to say though, but now you're kind of a veteran of the lower bracket. You just did a run about like 2.5 weeks ago. Were there any lessons that you learned during the Bali Major run that you're going to start trying to apply to this tournament here in Riyadh?
I think we should all just focus on ourselves, no stress, just focus and don't do like weird moves. Just focus, stay calm and play to win. That's it.
السؤال الأخير أيضا سألناه يتكلم عن البالي ميجر، هل في شيء ممكن أنه تعلمتوا من البالي ميجر تقدرون تطبقونه عندنا هنا في رياض ماسترز؟ كان الجواب أنه لا صراحة احنا أهم شيء تركيزنا أنه نبقى مركزين على أنفسنا، ما يكون في أي ستريس، ما يكون في أي ضغط علينا، ونقدر أننا نوصل إلى نهاية البطولة بهالطريقة.
Noob, you seem wise beyond your years, calm beyond your years, but it's exciting to see. Congratulations on this victory and best of luck moving forward.
زي ما تشوفون أعزائنا المشاهدين، جاء الوقت اللي نروح فيه على طول الاستوديو التحليلي بعد ما خلصنا مباراة كويست، لكن نوب زي ما قال لكم هم فقط قدامهم مشوار بسيط، وهم كل اللي قدامهم الآن انهم فقط يركزون على المباراة ويركزون على البطولة ولا يسوون أي شيء ثاني، فبالتوفيق لهم. على طول نروح مع الاستوديو.
Back to the studio.
Thank you very much, Tsunami and Fancy, and of course Noob there on the stage after winning this series 2-0 here against PSG.LGD. They have eliminated the defending champions, and it was a quite convincing game number 2 here, if I might say. So to start, maybe not as much, and that's why we'll start to break the game down, because at the start of the game, we said PSG.LGD, they really focused on the lanes. That should be why they picked up the hero that we hadn't seen before yet in Riyadh Masters in the Weaver. I'm joined by Faith Beyond, by Effie and Purge. Purge, this Weaver on the off lane with the Beastmaster, it did kind of do what it needed to do, but not convincingly enough, or what was the story there?
It did great in lane. Like, it played, Planet played it super, super good. I was very impressed with his performance there. It worked well against the Phoenix. It made Kaori look weak on lane for once. It made Phoenix look weak on lane for once. And I think they anticipated this Phoenix pick, and they were ready with response. I think Weaver was the secret sauce they used. So that accomplished its job, in my opinion. There was just other stuff that they had issues with.
Effie, what was all the other stuff? Because they seem to have a lot of other stuff that they had issues with.
Skill issue.
Ooh.
Yeah, honestly, Quest just played better. LGD played pretty badly this series. I don't know, Quest are very good. Like, I'm just more impressed with how much of a solid identity they have and how able they are to play from behind, because my initial read on Quest pre-Bali was that they look so strong when they're ahead, but I didn't know how they'd react in situations where their safe lane gets crushed, for example. And their safe lane did get crushed, but TA2000 was topping the net worth in no time. He just made the easiest comeback. They're so comfortable on their Primal Beast. The comfort hero on Omar and the Mirana also just does so much. Whereas LGD had kind of a dream scenario, right? They had the best mid hero in the tournament in Snapfire. Their Faceless Void got the Midas really early. They also had the Chronosphere versus Tidehunter, which is naturally a counter to the hero since the days of old. And the Beastmaster had a free lane, but they just couldn't do anything with it. They were disconnected. They didn't make the right moves, and they just played worse.
What are your thoughts on the game, Faith Beyond?
I think LGD have a good strategy, but Quest just play better. Like for Primal Beast, he TP top at level 4. He keep running on the map to make sure that TA can farm, can recover. And also Tidehunter keep pressuring the tower and keep pressure the lane. And also Phoenix, another time, 26 minutes Hex. Do the initiation every time. So I think Quest they play really well.
They played really well, and a lot of the skirmishes we saw were pickoffs, where indeed Quest did get the jump often on PSG.LGD. But there was one still final fight that we want to analyze here with the STC play, where Quest did end up victorious, and it did allow them to take Roshan to close the game out. But Effie, this was a fight where it really showcased how Quest was able to get PSG's number.
Yeah, as we're about to see here, Malik gets the perfect initiation with the Ravage. You get the follow-up from the Primal Beast. Really good use of BKBs, and it felt like LGD had no counterplay here.
And that's why they didn't. They're like, okay, you know what? No counterplay. I'm gonna try to TP out. Emphasis on try. It did not happen, and it was, I mean, that was a bit of a rough one for PSG.LGD. They have a lot of things to think about before, you know, learning from this and moving forward in their careers, and obviously into the international as well later on. But this was definitely a disappointing result from their perspective, as they will be left on 9th to 12th place here at Riyadh Masters. We have to give credit to Questo, and with that, give credit to our Gidia MVP. It is Noob. I don't think it comes as a big surprise. He did play a fantastic Primal Beast game, and in Game 1 Purge, a fantastic Snapfire game as well.
Yeah, he played really, really good. I think Game 2 was maybe more impressive because things were going so bad for Quest in the early game, and he really pulled it together. So that's what I always look at in post-game stats, or at least early game stuff. It's like, okay, one lane lost really bad. Is somebody else making enough for it? Is someone else making up for TA 2000's net worth being low? And he absolutely did it this game on the Primal Beast.
And the really cool thing about Quest as a team is that they focus heavily on stacking for Noob in the early game. Like, often the ancient stacks are made for the offlaner or for the carry to come back into the game, but even if Noob is put at a disadvantageous matchup, especially when his Primal Beast gets countered, there's always a few stacks waiting for him in the jungle, and he finds himself recovering in net worth regardless of whatever the matchup is mid.
Yeah, we see here highlights of his plays. I do realize that he gets heroes that are highly coveted with the Snapfire and the Primal Beast, but indeed being able to step it up when your other lanes are maybe a little bit in disarray, it definitely requires some next level. And of course, this was well, they did get the kill. It was a little bit of a dive, and they did kind of mess up a little bit after that, but that's why we don't show that on the highlights. That's why we have that. It's only highlights, only top-tier plays, and Quest definitely having a lot of those. Of course, this was the second time that they faced PSG.LGD on that stage, previously on the group stages where they tied, but this time we saw Quest had PSG's number every single time, just like they did the previous time they met in the lower bracket. Bali Major, Quest definitely seems to be quite the force to reckon with, and I would imagine other teams, Faith Beyond, you look at this series, you look at this performance of Quest, how much can you really learn from a team that is playing this well?
I think for what can we learn from Quest is actually pretty much similar with when we watch gaming. Is like you always make sure you are play to win. Like even things going bad, but you have to communicate to how can we play to win and just execute it together. Yeah.
Yeah, they did together. And a well-deserved MVP of the entire series. Now there is a bit of a break for Quest Esports. They have, of course, some relaxation time. But I also still wanted to have some more information. We don't see new heroes pop off this deep into a tournament very frequently. And I do love learning about, well, new Weaver, I don't know if you can call it new, but new for Riyadh Masters. It was the first Riyadh Masters appearance. And even though it did not work out in the game Purge, it did work out in the lane.
It did. I thought it was a cool pick. I think it was a response to the Phoenix. They could beat it in lane, basically. And if we take a look at the draft really briefly, they picked Phoenix first on the side of Quest, and then we saw LG respond with Silencer Beastmaster, and then later in the last phase they picked Weaver, which I think was a good solution. So let's take a look at, oops, sorry, 1 second. Let's take a look at how it went in the lane. So first off, securing range creeps, the Sakuchi is really good to do. And then he also has a lot of damage. He's 62 damage here, and he's got 4 armor. And if you compare this to Phoenix, Phoenix has 53 damage plus 2 and only 1 armor. So just simply attacking without spells, he was winning the trade because Kaori had used Fire Spirits. And funnily enough, actually, Kaori just popped Fire Spirits there at the end of that trade, which meaning he's not going to have it for this next trade. That's why he starts playing defensively here. And watch this. Actually, let's replay this clip because right at the beginning, it's really important. Watch this range creep, this Radiant range creep here. He ends up going for that last hit, and as a result, he loses the vast majority of his HP as he retreats to the tower, which means that when the creep wave pushes in, he's now starting at a lower HP. So that means he can't contest these creeps as well. And unfortunately, Kaori also started to pull right before that. So those two things together means that he's being dove by like tons and tons of creeps. They finished off the creep wave on the back lane there, and now they just get to dive TA2000. He has proper fraction for that blast. They clear up the rest of the creep wave, and then they basically go for a dive here. And so he not only has to try to get last hits, but they get to pressure him at the same time. They pop Glyph for this, they chase down TA2000, and that was the first blood here, killing him under the tower. So that was the beginning of his problems. Then it continues when he TPs back to lane. Same thing's happening. Planet and Yu is clearing the creep waves. They dive, they rotate Silencer over as well, committing at least 2 blood grenades to kill TA2000, but it's so good against him. It breaks his refraction. He ends up living barely. They kill the Phoenix, and then they continue diving this afterwards when Planet goes looking for TA2000. So far, this is all off the back of that pull that happened at the same time that TA2000 went for the Melt Strike. They kill YU Smile here, but it's not as important. And it also came off the back of the Fire Spirits being used incorrectly and the Weaver having a great matchup. And then he just puts a wards down so that he gets to force TA2000 out of the jungle. He gets another Observer Ward and he runs to the north of the jungle to put it on another cliff. He just wants to know where TA2000 is, because this is what you do. You keep him behind. And his net worth is so far behind. He's got 1,800 net worth compared to Voids, who's also a little bit behind, only 2,400. But they just did a really, really good job with the Weaver, in my opinion. And he also grabs the Wisdom Rune at 7 minutes. TP's bottom runs all the way there. So I thought Planet played great. His first like 10 minutes was excellent. The Weaver did what it was supposed to. It's just that the Void had a rough game, and TA was able to catch up.
It seems like they really had a good plan to deal with TA2000. They just kind of forgot about the rest, or underestimated the potential for Noob and for Malik to create space for TA to come back towards the end of that game. Also pretty cool that Malik, you know, he's just on holiday in Spain. He's like, gets a call, hey, you want to play Riyadh Masters? Like, sure, bring it on. And he crushes it here on the main stage. We do have to give credit where credit's due. PSG.LGD coming here top 12. It's still a good performance, maybe not in their books, but being top 12 in the world as a Dota 2 player, still something to be proud of. Although it is more bitter than sweet, we want to give some limelight to that as well. And for that, we head to Jack, who is standing by with Y for a exit interview.
With Captain Y of PSG.LGD, of course, the champions of Riyadh Masters last year, but unable to repeat the feat, unfortunately, this year. What went wrong for you guys in this match against Quest Esports? 当然，这里是老干爹的队长 Y 队，你们去年是里亚德大师赛冠军，今年未能重复。那想问一下，就是这场又对战 Quest Esports 出现了什么样的一些问题或失误，引起你们失利？
可能游戏过程中我们没有选择到最适合击败他们的一个方式吧，然后可能来这边的我们每个人的状态啊什么的 DNDT 都没有在很好的在小组赛的过程中很好的进步，或者说能更好的学习到新的东西吧，然后所以可能就没有打过吧。
We didn't find the best solutions to defeat them within the game, and then also in the process of coming over here after Bali during the group stage, I don't think we found our best form or learned or improved as much as we needed to be able to find a way to get past this and win. Next up, of course, coming is the International in a few months. That's the big tournament of the year, of course. How will you prepare for the International in the months ahead? 那当然，剩下的今年的比赛就是国际邀请赛了。那么你们在这几个月内会怎么去为这场大战做准备？
先回去把，怎么说呢？肯定首先每个人要找到自己的方式，先把自己的个人的状态更加的投入到为下一个 TI 的准备吧。然后再到之后就 开始为期的集训，然后学习不同打法，然后再提高自己吧，应该就这样。
Everyone first has to go home and find a way to access their best form and to continue to learn and improve. And then a little bit after that, we're going to be boot camping together and again trying to learn and improve and figure things out as a team to prepare the best we can for that competition. 好，那么就 thank you, Y, and good luck. 谢谢。
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jack, and why you smile. PSG.LGD will fall here, but learning and improving seems to be the key to success in the future. We'll, of course, see a lot more of them. But not very soon, because we'll see more success from Quest, potentially, pretty soon. They're moving forward here in the lower bracket of Riyadh Masters. They don't know yet who their opponent will be, but overall, I mean, dropping to the lower bracket, we talked about it at the very start of the day, Faith Beyond. We saw Quest yesterday drop to the lower bracket, and we talked about how the teams that drop from the upper bracket to the lower bracket, you know, there's going to be a little bit of sadness coming into it. They haven't had as much time to prepare as the other team. But for Quest, winning here, winning in the first round of lower bracket, that surely has a big impact on their momentum.
Yeah, it surely proves that Quest is a team that they can solve problem very quickly, and they have a strong mentality at the same time. Yeah.
Yeah, strong mentality can be key to winning big competitions, Effie.
Yeah, I was curious to see how Quest would perform being so new, and I thought that potentially their nerves would show, especially in this lower bracket on this stage, but they felt like they were playing from home. All of them were comfortable. This team is actually going to be so scary in a few months as they play even more together and get even better. And if there's going to be an upset in this tournament, it might actually be the Quest lower bracket run into Grand Finals. I could see that happening.
Yeah, I feel bad for all the teams that have to play against them. I mean, well, they play the winner of game in Tundra, so like it's not exactly an easy road for them. It's a very tough tournament with everyone's so good here. But yeah, I'm happy to see them do so well after dropping down. I also was a little bit worried that they would underperform, that their kind confidence would falter a little bit, but they still seem exactly the same way. So I think they're going to send a lot of teams home here.
Yeah, Quest is one of the new kids on the block here in terms of teams. They haven't had a very long competitive career with this roster and only started in international competitions just about a month ago at the Bali Major. So it's great to see them evolve, and it's great to learn more about them. Now, our next matchup is going to be Gaming Gladiators versus Tundra, but there will be a bit of a break. So in case you missed earlier this morning, we actually had a long sit-down interview with Sir Action Slacks, with Malik, with Omar, with Noob, and it is a joy to listen to these guys talk about everything, and not everything is Dota related for them in that one. So enjoy that. We'll be back afterwards with Gaming Gladiators versus Tundra. See you soon.